Chapter 562. In this pile of materials, he did not know many of them, but he knew that they were all treasures. This time, he managed to make a fortune, thanks to the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. The power of the starry skies sea of consciousness manifested at this time. Ning Cheng had only collected the spiritual grasses for a dozen breaths when his spiritual consciousness caught a strong suppressive aura. But soon, other cultivators arrived at this place. These cultivators did not speak, and just like Ning Cheng, they crazily grabbed the starry skies' spiritual grasses. With the help of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, even if Ning Cheng crazily grabbed the spiritual grasses, his speed was still faster than the other cultivators. Plus, since he did not grab everything, no one took the initiative to sneak attack him. At this time, who would have the free time to intercept others? Every cultivator was crazily snatching. Low-level starry skies stone-striped spiders did not have much use, but grade 7 or above starry skies stone-striped spiders could definitely sell for a lot of celestial coins. I also saw it, that grade 7 starry skies stone-striped spider is already dead. Most likely, the things that the fellow who escaped previously were collected by the starry skies stone-striped spider. Moreover, he not only grabbed these things, but also a bunch of high-grade starry skies spiritual grasses and even more high-grade materials. The cultivator who spoke also followed behind Ning Cheng, but did not manage to grab many things. Zish Jun was also among the many cultivators. Now that the essence-harmonizing celestial fruits and starry skies spiritual grasses had all been snatched away, the surroundings were in a complete mess. However, he did not see Ning Ruoqing, who had come together with him. This aura made Ning Cheng feel horrified. He had encountered it not long ago, and it was the aura of a starry skies stone-striped spider or above. Such a powerful starry skies stone-striped spider, if he encountered it, it would be equivalent to courting death. He did not say in public that he knew who took these things. This time, he also managed to snatch an essence-harmonizing celestial fruit. Most of the cultivators here were empty-handed, and he did not want to offend a ruthless person like Ning Ruoqing for no reason. At this time, Ning Cheng did not care about anything else and rushed up. With a wave of his hands, a large number of spiritual grasses started to disappear. Ning Cheng was just about to turn around and escape when his spiritual consciousness passed through some broken restrictions and swept towards a huge starry skies stone-striped spider. Impossible! Not to mention the thunder firmament crystals. If there were any starry skies stone vein spiders above class 7, none of us would have survived. A cultivator raised a question. After knowing that Ning Cheng had taken away a lot of treasures, more and more people started to feel unhappy. Ning Cheng had only moved it twice, and it only took a few breaths of time for other cultivators to rush over. Ning Cheng was just about to take another look when his spiritual consciousness sensed that this natural array formation contained more than just essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. In the depths of these harmony essence celestial fruit trees, there seemed to be even more starry sky essence chi fluctuations. Ning Cheng walked in the front, sweeping up a large number of starry sky spiritual grasses along the way while rushing forward. Even if Ning Cheng tried to snatch more, he could only take away less than half of the starry sky spiritual grasses along the way. Most of the starry sky spiritual grasses had already been snatched away by the newcomers. Under the powerful celestial river domain, Ning Cheng instantly caught this murderous aura. He twisted his body slightly, and the murderous aura slammed into the stone wall in front of him. More than 30 essence-harmonizing celestial fruits were more than enough for Ning Cheng. Feeling even more starry sky essence chi fluctuations, Ning Cheng did not think about it and immediately flashed inside. When Ning Cheng saw the large number of starry sky spiritual grasses, he almost felt shocked. These starry sky spiritual grasses ranged from grade 1 to grade 6, and there were even a few grade 7 starry sky spiritual grasses. Was he the one who took away so many things? The more Zish Jun thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Although Ning Ruoqing looked harmless, he was the most powerful celestial scryer cultivator he had ever seen. Even an expert like Lu Pingchuan could not survive even 2 exchanges in front of this person. Moreover, at that time, Ning Ruoqing had not even used his full strength, which showed how powerful this person was. This dead starry sky stone pattern spider was at least a grade 7 or above starry sky demonic beast. Ning Cheng felt ecstatic in his heart and rushed inside as fast as he could. These things were all piled up together, unlike the scattered spiritual grasses, which gave Ning Cheng a chance to take them away. A starry sky stone pattern spider that surpassed starry sky grade 7? Thunder firmament crystal? Even if he could not obtain it, he would not let this fellow have an easy time. But I only saw his back, and his appearance was blurry. I can't see it clearly. Draw out his appearance. This starland is not that big. I don't believe that this person could have run away. However, this starry sky stone pattern spider was lying motionless on the ground, apparently dead. The powerful aura that he felt a moment ago came from this dead starry sky stone pattern spider. Just now, a cultivator took away a large number of essence-harmonizing celestial fruits and a bunch of starry sky spiritual grasses. He also took away a starry sky stone pattern spider that surpassed starry sky grade 7, as well as countless thunder firmament crystals. After the angry long-haired cultivator came out, he found that he could no longer find Ning Cheng's aura and immediately started to spread the news. Unfortunately, he only saw the starry sky stone pattern spider and the thunder firmament crystals. He could not even see the other things before Ning Cheng swept them away. No matter how powerful a natural array formation was, it would not last long in the face of the joint attacks of tens of thousands of cultivators. Ning Cheng had only arrived here for less than an hour when the natural array formation gave out a "catcha" sound. Immediately, several rays of lights from weapons once again shot out, and with a crashing sound, the entire defensive array formation instantly collapsed. Tens of thousands of cultivators swarmed forward like crazy. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to stimulate the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Originally, he was still at the back, but the twin wings of the heavenly clouds brought out a slight fluctuation, and he instantly landed in the middle of the dozen or so essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. The twin wings of the heavenly clouds brought out the speed and flexibility of a small space to the extreme. Many of the cultivators who managed to obtain benefits had the same thoughts as Zish Jun. Seeing that there were no more good things in this place, they immediately retreated. At this time, Ning Cheng's desire for the sky treasure silk grew even stronger. His twin wings of the heavenly clouds were more flexible than ordinary treasures. Currently, his twin wings of the heavenly clouds had only produced 4 pairs of lights, yet it was already this powerful. Once he found the sky treasure silk, the twin wings of the heavenly clouds would definitely rise to another level. Ning Cheng did not pick the outermost essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. The biggest advantage of his twin wings of the heavenly clouds was its speed. In just an instant he arrived at the last tree, and with a wave of his hand he swept away more than a dozen fruits. In just 2 times, Ning Cheng had already swept away more than 30 essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. Ning Cheng was in a good mood. At this time, he was hiding in a remote cave to count his gains. Although there were a few cultivators who came together with Ning Cheng, no one cared about the others at this time. Everyone's energy was focused on the essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. Ning Cheng did not even think about it, and directly put the starry skies stone-veined spider into his ring. Just as he put away the starry skies stone-veined spider, a powerful murderous aura rushed over. However, even more cultivators sent out a variety of messages, wanting to capture Ning Cheng. Boom! The stone wall cracked open, and piles of various spiritual grasses and materials appeared in front of Ning Cheng. It turned out that this stone wall was hollow, and it also isolated one's spiritual consciousness. If one did not blast it open, then there was no way to see these things. Brother Ning, there is no way to join hands in this place. After we break through the array formation, we can only rely on our own opportunities. Zish Jun, on seeing so many cultivators attacking this natural array formation, understood that they could only rely on their own opportunities in this place. Ning Cheng, who was about to leave, immediately rushed over, raised his hand, and swept all the things into his ring. At the same time, he activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and crazily teleported away. Countless cultivators in this starry skies spiritual grass garden discussed in shock. Thunder firmament crystals were priceless treasures for heaven-seated cultivators, not to mention the low-leveled starry skies cultivators. Tens of thousands of people were fighting for hundreds of essence-harmonizing celestial fruits, which meant that only 100 people could get one. Ning Cheng had just left, when the place where he was standing once again exploded with a bang, causing the entire stone wall to collapse. Yes, draw him out and then we can all look for him together. Why would we work so hard to break this natural array formation, yet all the good things belong to him alone? Ning Cheng nodded. With so many people fighting for these things, there really was no way to join hands. The cultivators gathered here, waiting for the essence-harmonizing celestial fruits, numbered at least 50 to 60,000. There were more than a dozen essence-harmonizing celestial fruit trees here, which meant that there would only be a few hundred essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. An extremely angry aura rushed out from behind Ning Cheng, but by the time it dispersed the surrounding cultivators, Ning Cheng had already disappeared without a trace. Chapter 563. It took Ning Cheng a whole day to sort out all the things he had obtained. Since entering the starry skies, he had rarely spent time on artifact crafting. Even if he had time, he would spend it studying array formations. As a result, he did not recognize many of the materials. However, whether he recognized them or not, Ning Cheng carefully put them away. He still did not have a suitable long spear. After reaching grand culmination starry skies, he would definitely ask someone to help him refine a long spear weapon. Therefore, these materials might come in handy. In addition to a pile of artifact crafting materials, he also obtained a large pile of starry skies spirit grasses. This made Ning Cheng decide to resume his old business after reaching grand culmination starry skies and refine these starry skies spirit grasses into medicinal pills. He had once purchased 20 returning celestial jade scale pills, which were just ordinary grade 4 celestial river grade medicinal pills. If he needed other medicinal pills in the future, he definitely would not be able to buy them with money. Not to mention the ridiculously high prices, he could not even buy high-quality medicinal pills. If he did not have the talent for alchemy, then it would have been fine. But now that he had the talent for alchemy, why not take advantage of it? Despite obtaining a lot of good things this time, Ning Cheng still felt that the rootless green bamboo was the most precious. This thing had a kind of vitality that he could not describe. Unfortunately, he did not know anything about this rootless green bamboo and did not know what it did. Ning Cheng did not continue to look for materials. It was best to quit while he was ahead. After waiting for 2 more days in the cave, most of the things on this floating starland had already been found. This floating starland was not a big place to begin with. With millions of cultivators searching for things inside, even if they found some good things, it would not be easy to find them. As the cultivators began to return to the merchant ships, Ning Cheng removed his starry skies wanderer costume and returned to his old appearance, mixed in with the many cultivators and returned to the merchant ship. As the cultivators on the 11 void ships returned, the ships continued to move. This time, the ships directly pierced through the void. Of these 11 void ships, the largest one was naturally the Striking Order Heavenly Emperor's Striking Order battleship. However, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor rarely came out. Even when he discovered the drifting starland, he did not appear. At this time, in a luxurious cabin on the 4th floor of the Striking Order airship, a beautiful woman wearing a purple robe frowned. In front of her stood 2 cultivators, a man and a woman. The silhouettes of the celestial wheels behind these 2 cultivators were faintly discernible, indicating that they were celestial river-grade powerhouses. But at this moment, the 2 cultivators were very respectful in front of the beautiful woman. After a long time, this beautiful woman asked with a slightly hoarse voice, "When did Lu Pingchuan fall?" The male cultivator once again spoke up with a respectful tone. On the first day that everyone entered the drifting starland, Lu Pingchuan fell. Moreover, he didn't even have the time to call for help. Most likely, he was killed when he felt that he was not in any danger. The beautiful woman fell silent again. After a while, she locked onto him again. "I will report this matter to the emperor. Is there anything else?" The female cultivator standing below took a step forward and spoke in a respectful voice. A life and death senior's immortal cave was found in this floating starland. In addition, a cultivator found a piece of soil that contained the aura of the breath soil beside a lake. What? Breath soil? The beautiful woman suddenly stood up and spoke with a shocked tone. Apparently, the breath soil had shocked her. The female cultivator quickly explained, "Aunt Sue, it's the soil that contained the aura of the breath soil, not the breath soil. This piece of soil most likely contained the breath soil, which is why it contained the aura of the breath soil." Where is this piece of soil now? The beautiful woman, addressed as Aunt Sue, still spoke with an anxious tone. I heard that the Joyous Wave Chamber of Commerce obtained it. If they don't hold an auction for it, they will bring it to Grand Culmination Starry Skies to be sold. The female cultivator replied in detail. Aunt Sue nodded and sat down. She then said to the male cultivator, "You go to the Joyous Wave Chamber of Commerce now and tell them that we bought the soil containing the breath soil. You can discuss the price with them." "Yes, Aunt Sue." After the male cultivator finished, he quickly turned around and left. After the male cultivator left, Aunt Sue continued to ask, "What else does this drifting starland have?" A grade 7 starry sky stone pattern spider was found in this starland. This starry sky stone pattern spider killed tens of thousands of cultivators and finally escaped into the void after fighting with Senior Tangjio. We also found a dozen essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. Aunt Sue interrupted the female cultivator's words. Essence-harmonizing celestial fruits are not important things. The female cultivator gave a respectful reply before continuing. Among the dozen essence-harmonizing celestial fruits, we found a large number of starry sky spiritual grasses, along with a dead grade 7 starry sky stone pattern spider. A dead grade 7 starry sky stone pattern spider? Aunt Sue frowned and seemed to be thinking about something. The female cultivator did not dare to hesitate. Yes, this starry sky stone pattern spider also collected a lot of materials. Some people have seen thunder firmament crystals among those materials. Aunt Sue nodded and turned silent again. Thunder firmament crystals were a very valuable artifact crafting material. Even top-grade starry sky powerhouses could use them. The female cultivator saw Aunt Sue turn silent again and added, "That starry sky stone pattern spider, thunder firmament crystals, and a bunch of artifact crafting materials. I heard that a cultivator had taken them away." "Oh, such a thing happened?" Aunt Sue's expression changed again and immediately said, "You go and invite this cultivator here. I want to talk to him face to face." The female cultivator quickly spoke up. This cultivator should have changed his appearance. Many people tried to look for him but could not find him. It seems that after he snatched those things, he never appeared again. I heard that he has a pair of twin heavenly cloud wings. In addition to that, there is one more thing. What else? Aunt Sue, I went to the place where Lu Pingchuan was killed to check it out. Something had been dug out from that place. Even if that thing had been dug out, I could still feel a strong life aura from it. I have some guesses in my heart, but I'm not sure. So, I brought back some soil. After the female cultivator finished, she took out a jade box and handed it to Aunt Sue. Aunt Sue opened the jade box and touched the soil with her hand. Sweeping out with her spiritual consciousness, her complexion immediately changed and she stood up again. Rootless green bamboo? The female cultivator immediately bowed and spoke. I also guessed that this was a rootless green bamboo. Now that Aunt Sue mentioned it, it seems that I did not make a mistake. This is indeed a rootless green bamboo. Aunt Sue's complexion fluctuated for a long time before she spoke up. I didn't expect that a small floating starland would have so many good things. You immediately go to the major merchant ships and investigate who has the rootless green bamboo. I will immediately go see the Heavenly Emperor. Ning Cheng placed all the important things inside the mysterious yellow bead's 5 elements array formation, even the magical weapons that he usually used and the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. He also placed them inside the mysterious yellow bead's 5 elements array formation. He did not dare to casually put these things in his ring or carry them on his body. It was never wrong to be careful. After storing these things, Ning Cheng prepared to continue his seclusion. He knew that the merchant ships would definitely be very lively in the next few days. However, he did not want to go to such a lively place. At this moment, his spiritual consciousness swept out and detected Steward Lu coming over. Ning Cheng's heart tightened. Since Steward Lu brought him to this place a few years ago, he had never come here again. So why did he suddenly come here today? Regardless of the reason for Steward Lu's visit, Ning Cheng did not dare to be careless. He casually put away the array formations around him, opened the door to the miscellaneous room, and respectfully cupped his fists. Steward Lu, you don't have to live here for the time being. Go to the main hall. Steward Lu went straight to the point. He did not give any reason and directly asked Ning Cheng to go to the main hall. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up, Steward Lu, no one comes here. I went to the floating starland this time and obtained some good artifact crafting materials. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to say that he wanted to give the materials to him, Steward Lu interrupted Ning Cheng's words. You don't have to say these things right now. You have to move out. Seemingly remembering that he had received a lot of green coins from Ning Cheng, Steward Lu hesitated for a moment before speaking up. Someone from the merchant ship will soon come here to check on everyone. It is not appropriate for you to live here. Ning Cheng asked with a surprised look. Steward Lu sighed. I'll tell you the truth. I heard that a great thing appeared in the floating starland, but it was snatched away by a cultivator. That's all I know. After these people check it out, you can move in. Ning Cheng secretly felt surprised, but still took out 2 pieces of cutting moon steel and gave it to Steward Lu in a respectful manner. If that's the case, then many thanks, Steward Lu. I still have some materials on me and I'm just about to go up and see the market. When Ning Cheng returned to the main hall was bustling with noise and excitement. Almost everyone was in high spirits. From this, it could be seen that everyone had gained something from this trip to the floating starland. Some low-level materials might not mean much to high-level starry sky cultivators, but for some ordinary cultivators, these materials were treasures. Many cultivators went to the upper deck of the merchant ship in groups to sell their things in exchange for the cultivation resources they needed. Senior. Ning Cheng had just arrived at the main hall when a surprised voice rang out beside Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng stopped, looked at the thin cultivator and asked, Do you know me? But I don't think I've seen you before. The thin cultivator quickly spoke up, This junior's name is Shin Xuanyu, and I've admired Senior for a long time. Ning Cheng was just about to say a casual greeting and leave when he heard the voice of the ship's broadcast. All cultivators in the main hall, immediately sit down and wait for the inspection. If you want to go upstairs to trade, you will need to wait for the inspection before you can go. Senior, I've managed a good place. If Senior doesn't have a place to go, you can come to my place for a while. Shen Xuanyu immediately invited Ning Cheng after hearing the broadcast. At this time, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness did not see the old man surnamed Ji. It seemed that someone had set up a small tent in his place. Thinking of this, he smiled and said, Many thanks, my name is Qing Yanxiong. Shen Xuanyu felt pleasantly surprised on hearing Ning Cheng agree and immediately spoke up, This junior and senior really have some fate. Even our names are somewhat similar. My name is Xuanyu, and senior's name is Yanxiong. Ning Cheng did not have the time to answer Shen Xuanyu's words, when a powerful imposing aura pressed down on them. Everyone, sit in your seats for me, you are not allowed to make any noise, you are not allowed to whisper. Ning Cheng had seen Tang Jiu's moves before. Facing this powerful imposing aura, he understood that this person's cultivation was no worse than Tang Jiu's. Chapter 564. Another 6 years passed by, yet no one came to Ning Cheng's small storage room. Moreover, his cultivation had already reached the late-stage celestial gatherer realm. Although he had obtained many perpetual moon pills in the time wilderness, he had used up less than 10,000 of them. Even Ning Cheng could not help but sigh. His cultivation consumption was just too terrifying. Ning Cheng did not dare to hesitate and quickly replied, This junior does not have a master, so I always feel that my cultivation is not right. Some time ago, I thought that I had advanced to the celestial shatterer realm. However, compared to other celestial shatter cultivators, I feel like I am still lacking something. At this moment, Ning Cheng's mind raced with countless thoughts, but he quickly found the words he should say. Senior, this junior is indeed not that old. This time, my hair has turned white because I accidentally went to the Sea of Twilight, which is why I ended up like this. After half an incense stick worth of time, a middle-aged beautiful woman appeared at the door of the cabin. The middle-aged beautiful woman swept her gaze over the cultivators in the cabin hall and slowly walked in. After returning to the small storage room, Ning Cheng continued to seal up his position with the array formation. Just as Ning Cheng thought, Steward Lu did not come over. He did not even go to the big cabin to ask about Ning Cheng's whereabouts. For him, Ning Cheng's life or death had nothing to do with him. The beautiful woman gave a cold snort. If you can't reason with me, then you don't have to say anything about forgiveness. Killing a puny celestial scryer cultivator like you would be like crushing an ant to me. Ning Cheng shuddered. How could he not understand the meaning behind this beautiful woman's words? If the other party wanted to kill him, how could he compare to an ant? When he reached the third floor, Ning Cheng's eyes immediately swept across the bustling streets of the cabin. Many cultivators brought their own materials to this floor to trade and sell. Ning Cheng slowly took in a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He stood up and spoke with a respectful voice. This junior is Cheng Yanxiong, from Striking Order Starland. After an incense stick worth of time, the beautiful woman's gaze once again fell on Ning Cheng. What's your name? Where are you from? Ning Cheng knew that at this time, he had no other choice. The beautiful woman drank a mouthful of spiritual tea and said, If I'm not wrong, you look very old with white hair, but your actual age is frighteningly young. When I was young, I didn't even dare to think about it. If you weren't possessed, then your aptitude must be incomparably shocking. But from what I saw just now, your souls are incomparably fused, so it's impossible for you to have taken over my body. Ning Cheng did not intend to continue with his seclusion. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, he found that the main hall was bustling with activity, with many cultivators rushing to the bottom deck. Ning Cheng felt his heart move. He quickly packed up all his things and followed the other cultivators out. He guessed that they should have arrived at the grand culmination starry sky. At that moment, some of the cultivators who had left the main cabin hall came running back. Each of them carefully sat in a corner. Although the main cabin hall was large, no one dared to speak. Senior's aptitude is many times better than this junior's. Besides, this junior lost his lifespan in the Sea of Twilight and became so old. Even if someone tried to possess me, they wouldn't care about this junior. He felt uneasy and didn't know why he was called out alone. For him to address a beautiful woman as senior, with white hair, it felt a bit funny. Is that the reason? The beautiful woman didn't expect that Ning Cheng would fear possession, which was why he didn't dare to look for his master to figure it out. Cultivating until now, it was this kid's luck that he hadn't experienced cultivation deviation. The beautiful woman didn't comment on Ning Cheng's words. Instead, she looked at Ning Cheng again and said, Come with me. Ning Cheng didn't dare to say that he was a celestial gatherer cultivator. His words were ambiguous, and he couldn't even feel his cultivation. Even if this beautiful woman could see through his cultivation, so what? He could say that without a master to teach him, he wouldn't be able to figure it out. The beautiful woman brought Ning Cheng to a luxurious cabin on the top floor of the merchant ship. Seeing Ning Cheng looking a little nervous, she casually spoke up, You don't have to be nervous. I just want to ask you a few questions. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? Ning Cheng's twin wings of the heavenly clouds needed the sky treasure silk, which was why he saw the sky treasure silk being auctioned. Ning Cheng knew that facing a powerhouse in the heaven-seated realm, he didn't have the ability to resist. Giving out a sigh, he spoke, Senior, this junior comes from a very low-level planet. On that low-level planet, this junior had a master. My master told me that my qualifications were rare even in 100 million years. He told me not to let others know about my qualifications, otherwise, I might end up being possessed. So what am I not afraid of now? Drifting Starland auction, a few huge words appeared in front of Ning Cheng's eyes. Below it was a huge signboard with a long list of the names of various treasures. Although Ning Qing didn't want to participate in the auction, he still swept out with his spiritual consciousness. What's your cultivation now? Why did you say that your qualifications are poor? The beautiful woman didn't let Ning Qing sit down. Instead, she sat down. Time passed quickly as Ning Qing went into seclusion. Along the way, Ning Qing felt that the merchant ship had stopped a few times. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, he felt as if he had encountered a group of starry sky beasts. However, Steward Lu didn't come to find him, and Ning Qing also didn't come out. Feeling Ning Cheng's mentality of breaking a jar, the beautiful woman waved at Ning Qing. Before, she always felt that something was wrong with Ning Qing. As for what was wrong, she couldn't tell. Now that she heard Ning Cheng's explanation, she felt relieved. A genius from a low-level planet, who had never seen the world, thought that others would remember his qualifications. However, he didn't know that although his qualifications were good, he was far from being a genius in grand culmination starry skies. If I said that you lied to me and that you are, in fact, the cultivator with the best qualifications I have ever seen, what would you think? The beautiful woman spoke in a casual tone and poured herself a cup of spiritual tea. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on the signboard, his footsteps slowed down. He actually saw the Sky Treasure Silk. This auction had the Sky Treasure Silk for sale, which he needed right now. Oh, if that's the case, then why did you tell me that your qualifications are average? The beautiful woman's tone was calm, but the sharp killing intent had already penetrated Ning Cheng's mind. An ordinary cultivator would have long since found it unbearable. Fortunately, Ning Qing wasn't an ordinary cultivator. He possessed a starry sky sea of consciousness. Not only did he have a powerful essence spirit, but his soul was also extremely tough. This junior has always adhered to Master's teachings. After entering the starry skies, I didn't even dare to enter a sect. As a result, I still haven't managed to cultivate a celestial wheel. This junior also decided to go all out to find a sect in Grand Culmination Starry Skies. I heard that Grand Culmination Starry Skies has many geniuses with powerful qualifications. Although this junior's qualifications are good, it shouldn't be too special. Ning Qing didn't return to the cabin hall but returned to the small room outside the wine cellar. He didn't go to tell Steward Lu. If Steward Lu came, he could also say that he had already been inspected. Because they had just passed by a floating starland, all the merchant ships were holding auctions, and the streets were bustling with activity. Only Ning Qing hid in his small room and continued to go into seclusion to consolidate his cultivation. Although this beautiful woman's spiritual consciousness had not yet fallen on him, Ning Qing felt sure that this beautiful woman had at least reached the heaven-seated realm. I beg Senior to forgive me. Ning Qing quickly bowed again. He felt helpless in his heart. Strength in this place he really couldn't even compare to an ant. Ning Qing understood the power of a heaven-seated cultivator. Previously, his spiritual consciousness had only caught a glimpse of the killing intent from Tang Jiu's saber, and it had almost suppressed him to the ground. Ning Qing immediately felt his ring completely penetrate. This ring was just a very ordinary ring. Ning Qing had put some artifact crafting materials inside the ring, along with a few ordinary weapons, and a low-grade Dao artifact short spear. The beautiful woman shook her head silently. Your qualifications are indeed good, but it is nothing in Grand Culmination Starry Skies. You don't have to be so cautious. You can go down. The beautiful woman's spiritual consciousness swept past the cultivators. Ning Qing noticed that when this beautiful woman's spiritual consciousness swept past them, these cultivators all turned pale. Some of the weaker cultivators even started to break out in cold sweat. Ning Qing felt relieved in his heart as he carefully retreated. He decided to go back and never come out again. If he didn't have the mysterious yellow bead that no one could see through, he wouldn't know how many times he would have died. There were definitely a lot of people who had seen him with the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Moreover, this Sky Treasure Silk might be auctioned off on every airship. Once someone tried to buy this thing, they might end up falling into a trap. Taking out this Sky Treasure Silk might be to target the cultivators with the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. This junior does not dare to hide it from senior. That is indeed the reason. Ning Cheng calmed down his beating heart. Why don't you have a celestial wheel? The beautiful woman still asked in a calm tone. Only when Ning Cheng's face turned pale did the beautiful woman's spiritual consciousness move away from him. Oh. Ning Cheng looked at the beautiful woman in front of him in a daze, as if he couldn't understand what the other party meant. Only he knew in his heart that he was pretending to be at a loss. At this moment he felt a little anxious in his heart. No wonder this woman called him up, she thought that he was lying to her. Ning Cheng felt pleasantly surprised and immediately turned around to go inside. However, he only paused for a moment before stopping his movement and continuing down to the second floor. Ning Cheng and Shen Xuanyu sat in a corner of the cabin. Although Shen Xuanyu admired Ning Cheng, he did not dare to make a sound at this time. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on his ring and completely removed the restrictions he had placed on the ring. Senior, please ask. This junior will tell you everything I know. Ning Cheng felt even more anxious. After the beautiful woman finished speaking, she stared at Ning Cheng without blinking. Ning Cheng spoke up in fear. This junior has always been a rogue cultivator. Because of my mediocre qualifications, I did not manage to cultivate a celestial wheel after advancing to the celestial novice realm. This junior knew that there was something wrong with the cultivation method I cultivated. Because I could not find a good master, this junior took out all of my savings and prepared to go to the grand culmination starry skies to try my luck. The spiritual consciousness quickly fell on Ning Cheng's body. Ning Cheng immediately felt his clothes being stripped off layer by layer. At this moment he had almost no privacy. Fortunately, this woman still had some sense of shame and did not do anything excessive. Chapter 565. Ning Cheng squeezed into the crowd of cultivators and looked out from the deck. Outside the void ship, a vast and boundless blue starry sky appeared in front of him. Under this azure starry sky, there was a vague barrier that prevented his divine sense from penetrating it at all. This was a celestial grand array that protected the planet. However, this celestial grand array was much more powerful compared to the striking order Starland. This vast blue starland was not something that the striking order starland could compare to. The 11 void ships from the striking order starry skies slowly approached this blue starland, and several cultivators flew down from the ships and landed outside the celestial grand array. Ning Cheng could see from afar that these cultivators had a discussion with the people in charge of the celestial grand array. Only then did the celestial grand array slowly open an entrance, allowing these void ships to enter the celestial grand array. Looking at this, Ning Cheng remained silent. If he offended a big shot in this place, as long as they sealed off the celestial grand array, he would not be able to leave. This place was much stricter than the striking order Starland. After the 11 ships from the striking order starry skies passed through the celestial grand array, they slowly stopped on the huge starry skies public square on the periphery of the planet. Ning Cheng looked around and found that this public square was boundless. Not to mention his eyes, even his spiritual consciousness could not sweep to the end. The fleet from the striking order starry skies was not small, and each of them was a giant. However, in this public square, these ships were too inconspicuous. Ning Cheng was still observing the surroundings when the broadcast on the merchant ship rang out. Friends, we have arrived at the Grand Culmination Starland's largest starland, Culmination Starland. So far, our merchant ship has concluded its transaction with the Friends. You can now go through the formalities to enter the Culmination Starland. Our merchant ship will return to the striking order Starland in 10 years. We also welcome Friends to continue riding our merchant ship. I wish Friends good luck. Countless cultivators swarmed out of the merchant ship, and in just a moment, more than 1 million people came out. However, even with these people standing on the vast starry skies public square, it did not feel crowded at all. As the crowd dispersed, the place looked even more empty. Ning Cheng did not dare to sweep around with his spiritual consciousness. His gaze swept around but did not see Shen Qinyu. However, Ning Cheng also knew that Shen Qinyu was proficient in disguise. Even if she stood in front of him, if she did not speak, he would find it difficult to recognize her. Although he did not see Shinqinyu, he saw Zhishjun. Zhishjun was also looking around. When Ningcheng saw him, he immediately showed a smile and walked towards Ningcheng. Ningcheng quickly lowered his head, while his heart also sank slightly. Looking at Zhishjun's appearance, it was obvious that he recognized him, but how did the other party recognize him? Brother Ning. Zhishjun walked directly to Ningcheng's side and called out in a low voice. Ningcheng sighed in his heart, cupped his fists and spoke, "Many thanks, Brother Ziju." Since Zhishjun came here and addressed him as Brother Ning, it meant that he had truly recognized him. Although he didn't know how Zhishjun recognized him, he didn't need to continue pretending. He was grateful to Zhishjun because Zhishjun recognized him, so he definitely knew that he was the one who stole the materials. However, no one came looking for him, which meant that Zhishjun didn't expose him, so it was only right for him to thank him. Brother Ning truly has some skills. I was worried that Brother Ning would go and purchase the Sky Treasure Silk, but it looks like I was overthinking it. Zhishjun obviously knew why Ningcheng wanted to thank him. Many thanks, Brother Ziju. I have too many enemies here, so I won't speak much with Brother Ziju. My original name is Ningcheng, not Ning Ruocheng. Ningcheng knew that this was not the place to talk. Okay, after we reach Culmination Starland, let's keep in touch. This is my communication pearl. Zhishjun said as he took out a communication pearl and handed it to Ningcheng. After exchanging communication pearls with Zhishjun, Ningcheng asked with some doubts, "Brother Ziju, I was dressed as a Starry Skies wanderer, how did you recognize me?" Zhishjun smiled, "Let's talk about this in the future. I'll be leaving first." After saying that, Zhishjun quickly entered the crowd and disappeared from Ningcheng's sight. Ningcheng looked at Zhishjun's disappearing back and remained silent. Zhishjun's appearance was also very strange. Ningcheng had not noticed him even though he was right next to him. This person's concealment cultivation method was just too powerful. This was the first time Ningcheng had seen such a powerful concealment cultivation method and the ability to track other people's aura. Tracking other people's aura, Ningcheng felt shocked as he thought of this. He suddenly thought that if Zhishjun tracked him, wouldn't he not be able to escape? Did this guy know that he had killed Lu Pingchuan? After a long time, Ningcheng shook his head and put these annoying things aside. He then followed the crowd into the hall where the jade cards were processed. This hall was used to process the Identity Jade card to enter Culmination Starland. Although it was called the Identity Jade card, it was more like paying money to buy a spot to enter. Even if this was Culmination Starland, no one would check 3 generations of your ancestors and just give you a jade card to prove your identity. No one would record your aura or anything else. Although there were many cultivators processing the Identity Jade cards, this hall was ridiculously large and did not feel crowded at all. Ningcheng quickly spent 100 million green coins to obtain an Identity Jade card to enter Culmination Starland. He did not stay in this Starry Skies public square. After processing the Identity Jade card, he immediately walked out of the hall. Once he reached Culmination Starland, the most important thing for Ningcheng was to improve his cultivation and then earn a crazy amount of celestial coins. One day, he would be able to purchase a top-grade Starry Skies battleship capable of traversing through the void interface. 2 female cultivators walked in front of Ningcheng, and Ningcheng casually glanced at them. When Ningcheng's gaze fell on one of the female cultivators, he almost screamed out loud. This female cultivator's slim back and a familiar aura almost made Ningcheng call out the 2 words Zhonghua. However, this female cultivator already had a celestial novice cultivation, and from her back, she looked like a young girl. Wait! Ningcheng had just called out when he remembered that he still looked like a white-haired old man. Ningcheng no longer cared about anything else. He took out a drop of Glimmers of Dawn Ice Essence and swallowed it before chasing after them. When the Glimmers of Dawn Ice Essence entered Ningcheng's mouth, it felt like the most exuberant source of life. It instantly spread throughout Ningcheng's body, causing Ningcheng's white hair to turn black and his lifespan to rapidly recover. In just a few breaths, Ningcheng once again regained his youthful appearance. However, Ningcheng was not in the mood to lament about the heaven-defying effects of the Glimmers of Dawn Ice Essence. He rushed to the front of the 2 female cultivators and shouted, 2 senior apprentice sisters, please wait a moment. The 2 female cultivators stopped and looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Seeing the 2 veiled female cultivators in front of him, Ning Cheng's heart sank to the bottom. He felt sure that the female cultivator on the right was Cheonghua. That temperament, eyes, figure, and even everything else. However, Ning Cheng could also see that this female cultivator was not too old. She looked just like a high school girl. But what made Ning Cheng even more worried was that the young girl in front of him just looked at him quietly without any fluctuations. If it were his Cheonghua, wouldn't she have already rushed over? This senior apprentice brother, who are you looking for? The slightly older female cultivator spoke up. Ning Cheng did not know what to say. Seeing the female cultivator frown, he quickly spoke up, I want to ask the names of the 2 senior apprentice sisters. The female cultivator gave a cold snort and ignored Ning Cheng. Suddenly, she brought out a celestial river-class battleship and spoke to the young girl in front of Shi Cheonghua. Let's go. Ning Cheng watched as the celestial river-class battleship rushed out of the public square and entered the culmination starland. Only then did he remember that he should chase after them. To Ning Cheng's disappointment, although his knockoff battleship also rushed out of the public square, he could no longer see the battleship of the 2 female cultivators. Why did this happen? Ning Cheng stood there in a daze as his battleship rushed towards the culmination starland, forgetting to control it. He had snatched back the 5 Elements Treasure Fall copper coin from the Yu clan. This 5 Elements Treasure Fall copper coin was something he had given to Shi Cheonghua. With Shi Cheonghua's love for him, as long as she still had a breath left in her, she would never abandon the things he had given her. Since the Yu clan snatched the 5 Elements Treasure Fall copper coin, Cheonghua had undoubtedly fallen. Ning Cheng had long since prepared himself to find Cheonghua's life essence even if he had to ascend to the heavens or dive into the earth. But why did he see Cheonghua today? Moreover, why did she turn into a young girl? I am a reincarnated body, and my life essence is innately powerful. Shi Cheonghua's words once again lingered in Ning Cheng's ears. Reincarnation? Ning Cheng understood what was going on in an instant. Cheonghua had once again reincarnated, but this time she appeared in the starry skies. Cheonghua's first life must have been that of a great person. Otherwise, she would not have reincarnated several times. Heavens, thank you. Ning Cheng knelt on the battleship for the first time, thanking the heavens for letting him see his Cheonghua once again. Cheonghua was in the culmination starland, and he believed that he could definitely find her. Bang! The battleship gave out a loud roar, causing Ning Cheng to suddenly wake up. He was still inside the battleship. However, the next moment he realized that his knockoff battleship had been hit and the rear had caught on fire. Ning Cheng did not even think about it and rushed out of the battleship. This battleship was his spoils of war. Moreover, it was a knockoff. As such, he did not feel too distressed about it. What he really cared about was the sifting orchid. However, the grade of the sifting orchid was too low. As such, he could not repair it for now. Boom! Ning Cheng had just come out of the battleship when his knockoff battleship exploded and turned into a ball of flames. Humph! A cold snort immediately sobered Ning Cheng up. Not far from him was a beautiful silver-white battleship. Ning Cheng was no longer a rookie. As such, when he saw this battleship, he immediately realized that it was a genuine Starry Skies battleship. This battleship must have deliberately crashed into his battleship a moment ago. However, at this moment, Ning Cheng's heart felt as if it would explode with joy. As such, he did not have the time to care about such things. He did not even bother to bring out his flying sword and wanted to fly directly towards the culmination starland. You stop! A crisp voice called out to Ning Cheng. At the same time, a deck extended out from the Starry Skies battleship, revealing a few more people. Chapter 566. 3 cultivators stood on the deck, 2 men and 1 woman. The female cultivator in the middle had a full-circle celestial gatherer cultivation and wore a light blue robe. However, the 2 male cultivators standing next to the female cultivator were at least in the undead realm. Senior apprentice sister, what advice do you have for me? Ning Chung stopped and spoke with cupped fists. He could clearly see that this female cultivator had the lowest cultivation, yet she was the one who spoke. The female cultivator looked at Ning Chung from top to bottom and sneered. You do have some self-awareness and know that I want to give you advice. Did you know that your battleship had just crashed into my battleship? Ning Chung knew that he had lost control of his battleship. Moreover, the other party had deliberately crashed into his battleship and caused it to explode. It was just that he was in the wrong and didn't care about the battleship, so he didn't want to cause trouble. He didn't expect that the other party would still look for him when his battleship was gone. I'm very sorry about what happened just now. I was lost in thought and ended up losing control of my battleship. Although my battleship was damaged, it did not cause any damage to Senior Apprentice Sister's battleship. The meaning behind Ning Cheng's words was clear. He was in the wrong a moment ago, but his battleship had shattered while the other party's battleship remained intact. So I'm the one being unreasonable. Even after smashing your battleship, wouldn't I be looking for trouble with you? As the female cultivator spoke, she flew out of the battleship and stood in front of Ning Cheng. I wouldn't dare. Ning Cheng had just arrived here and didn't want to offend anyone. What's more, he was in a hurry to find Shi Qianghua. The female cultivator looked at Ning Cheng and spoke with pride. I can tell at a glance that you're a poor ghost from another starry sky. I'll give you two choices. One is to apologize to me. The second one. Senior Apprentice Sister, I already apologized. If Senior Apprentice Sister feels dissatisfied, I would like to apologize again. I really didn't pay attention to what happened just now. It's my fault. Ning Chung spoke with a calm tone. The female cultivator giggled. You call this an apology? If you want to apologize, you should at least bow to the ground. How can a casual apology like yours be called an apology? Ning Chung remained silent. He could apologize, but to make him bow to a female cultivator he had just met for the first time, he could forget about it. Seeing Ning Chung remain silent, the female cultivator's face immediately turned cold. If you don't want to apologize, then take out 1,000,000 celestial coins. However, with your appearance, wanting to take out 1,000,000 celestial coins would be a bit difficult. Ning Cheng knew that celestial coins were a variety of starry sky coins. Star coins were the green coins. The most valuable star coins were the green coins. He had no other choice but to bear with them. Two cultivators in the undead realm were staring at him. What could he do? Moreover, this female cultivator seemed to have an extraordinary background. Ning's look, he could tell that he this. And this green coins. In him. Just when Ning Cheng did not know what she meant by this, the imposing manner of this female cultivator suddenly turned sharp. Are you trying to send off a beggar with 1,000,000 green coins? This fairy said 1,000,000 purple coins, not 100,000,000 green coins, bah. Ning Cheng did not wait for this female cultivator to speak a second sentence, before taking out a 100,000,000 green coin card and placing it in the hands of this female cultivator. Without saying a single word, he turned around and disappeared in a flash. The female cultivator looked at the 100,000,000 green coins in her hand and frowned as she muttered to herself, I didn't expect that a celestial novice cultivator without a celestial will could really take out 100,000,000 green coins. Moreover, he is willing to take out 100,000,000 green coins rather than bow. Interesting. Whether it was interesting or not, Ning Cheng had already taken out 100,000,000 green coins as per her request. As such, she would not continue to look for trouble with him. An hour later, a huge blue-green starland appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng sped up and followed the many flight-type magical weapons to land on a huge open space. When Ning Cheng landed on the ground and saw the huge city in the distance, he was completely shocked. Rather than calling it a city, it would be better to call it a starry sky city without city walls. The city in the distance was shrouded in a dreamlike blur. As a grade 3 celestial array master, Ning Cheng could tell at a glance that this was a grand array protecting the city. Ning Cheng had long since thought about it. Instead of refining some city walls, it would be better to use a top-grade grand array to replace it. But today, he finally got to see such a top-grade grand array city. Over the city shrouded by a boundless grand array, a few huge characters hovered in the air, Eternal Heaven's Starry Sky City. Majestic, magnificent, magnificent, all the feelings were reflected in these few characters at a glance. Ning Cheng looked at these few characters and secretly praised in his heart. This was the real Starry Sky City. The powerful forbidden space restriction and the majestic aura of this Starry Sky City forced all the cultivators to put away their flight-type magical weapons and enter the Starry Sky City on foot. Ning Cheng followed the many cultivators towards the city gate of the Eternal Heaven's Starry Sky City. In this place, not to mention that his spiritual consciousness could not sweep out, even if it could, Ning Cheng would not dare to casually sweep out. The closer he got to the city gate, the more Ning Cheng could feel the rich starry sky essence qi. An unexplainable sense of respect welled up in his heart, causing Ning Cheng to feel slightly shocked. He guessed that it was due to the powerful array formation and the aura of the Starry Sky City's ruler. The Starry Sky City did not have any city walls, nor did it have a single cultivator guarding it. However, when Ning Cheng walked into the Starry Sky City, he felt as if countless eyes were staring at him, causing him to not dare to look around. It was not until he entered the city and the feeling disappeared that Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. The Starry Sky City was similar to what he had imagined, but the scene was much bigger than what he had imagined. Spiritual consciousness shielding restrictions covered every corner of the city, preventing his spiritual consciousness from sweeping out further. However, he had an invisible premonition that this Starry Sky City was incomparably vast. With his current cultivation, finding Shi Qianghua in this Starry Sky City would be even more difficult than finding a needle in a haystack. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh. If one day his spiritual consciousness could cultivate to the point where it could directly pass through these spiritual consciousness shielding restrictions, he would not hesitate to sweep out with his spiritual consciousness. As Ning Cheng thought of this, he stopped in his tracks. Why couldn't his spiritual consciousness do the same? His Starry Sky Sea of consciousness could ignore ordinary restrictions. Although the restrictions in this Starry Sky City were powerful, one day his spiritual consciousness would be able to sweep through them. Although these thoughts flashed through his mind, it left a seed in Ning Cheng's heart. Only by becoming stronger and stronger could he say what he wanted to say and do what he wanted to do. However, he was still too weak right now. His cultivation in this Starry Sky City was only at the bottom. However, Ning Cheng also knew that staying in this Starry Sky City, as long as he did not offend anyone, it would be 10,000 times safer than the outside world. Entering the main street that looked like a public square, Ning Cheng quickly blended into the crowd of cultivators. He carefully observed the surroundings, looking forward to seeing the girl wearing a veil again, while looking for the merchant house of artifacts. He wanted to see if there was a better spear artifact or a weapon. As he gained a deeper understanding of Sunset's twilight, his treasured thunder spear could no longer satisfy his spirit technique, while his nirvana spear was just a material. Elder brother Tsang Wei had said that this material was not simple. Within the vast starry sky of the universe, there must be some powerful artifact crafting masters who could recognize it. Grand Culmination Starry Sky should be the most powerful starry sky center in this positional plane. Ning Cheng wondered if elder brother Tsang Wei had come here before. Just as Ning Cheng was lost in his thoughts, a loud noise arrived. He looked up and saw a huge plaque, Transcending Tao Artifacts. It was a merchant house of artifacts. Ning Cheng was just about to look for a merchant house of artifacts when he saw one. He walked in without hesitation. Two cultivators were quarreling on the first floor of the merchant house. One of them was a red-faced cultivator with a fully integrated celestial wheel behind him. From the looks of it, he was a powerhouse in Heaven's Mandate realm. The cultivator arguing with him had a bronze face and a fully integrated celestial wheel behind him. Although it was not as obvious as the red-faced cultivator, it showed that he had not reached Heaven's Mandate realm. Many of the cultivators in the merchant house of artifacts gathered around to watch the show. The more the two cultivators quarreled, the more violent they became. At this time, the shop assistant standing next to the two quarreling cultivators stood up and spoke. "Two friends, if you want to quarrel, please go outside. Don't do it in our merchant house. Our merchant house pays particular attention to harmony and wealth. It is a reasonable place." The red-faced cultivator also seemed to know that he should not quarrel in this place. He cupped his fists towards the crowd and spoke, "Friends, I will speak about this matter. Everyone, please help me judge and see who is the one being unreasonable." Sure enough, after the surrounding cultivators heard these words, they all quieted down and wanted to know what was going on. The shop assistant, on seeing the red-faced cultivator no longer quarreled, did not continue to speak. The red-faced cultivator spoke up loudly, "Brother 1xn is also a friend of mine. I had borrowed a middle-grade Dao artifact from him, the Devil Cloud Net. However, I did not expect that I would underestimate the situation outside and ended up damaging the Devil Cloud Net. I was ready to compensate him with celestial coins, but he did not want the celestial coins. The two of us came here to buy a middle-grade Dao artifact to compensate him. However, he insisted that I should compensate him with a high-grade Dao artifact." The surrounding people started to talk, apparently feeling that this bronze-faced cultivator was being unreasonable. Since he had damaged a middle-grade Dao artifact, then he should compensate for the middle-grade Dao artifact. The price difference between a high-grade Dao artifact and a middle-grade Dao artifact was not just a little bit. It was several times more expensive than a middle-grade Dao artifact. The bronze-faced cultivator called 1xn raised his hand to stop the red-faced cultivator's words and spoke to the surrounding people. "I lent him a middle-grade Dao artifact, the Devil Cloud Net. Originally, he wanted to use the rewards from this task as a reward. However, he did not expect that he would fail the task. Not only did he not obtain anything, but he even damaged my Devil Cloud Net. My Devil Cloud Net is something that I had to painstakingly collect and personally craft." The surrounding people burst into an uproar. Everyone thought that this cultivator called 1xn could actually craft a middle-grade Dao artifact. To be able to craft a middle-grade Dao artifact, it was absolutely amazing. Everyone, please do not misunderstand. I alone am not able to craft a middle-grade Dao artifact. Even if it was a low-grade Dao artifact, I would not be able to craft it. It was because of a chance encounter that I met a top-notch artifact crafting master. With his help and guidance, I barely managed to craft this artifact. Even if you want me to craft it again, I would not be able to craft it. After 1xn explained, he continued, "Since he damaged my Devil Cloud Net, I intend to add some celestial coins to buy a high-grade Dao artifact." What's wrong with that? Just when Ning Cheng thought that 1xn was too greedy, a sudden voice spoke up. "This matter clearly shows that 1xn is in the right. What else is there to argue about?" Chapter 567. The one who spoke was a fat-looking male cultivator. In Ning Cheng's opinion, this person was at least a Heaven's Mandate cultivator. The fat cultivator saw everyone looking at him and spoke to the red-haired man with disdain. "Do you know what kind of weapon is the best for a Starry Skies cultivator? I guess you don't know, and even if you knew, you probably wouldn't tell the truth. Let me tell you now, for a Starry Skies cultivator, the best weapon is not to ask others to refine it, nor to buy it, but to refine one's own weapon." Ning Cheng felt his heart move and stood to the side to listen. Ning Cheng's cultivation was low, and he was not a real artifact crafting master. As such, he did not understand this sentence very well. The fat cultivator saw that the people around him were paying attention to his words and raised his voice. "The weapon you refine would be connected to your heart and soul, which would increase the power of the same weapon by 30%. Furthermore, a magic treasure that is truly connected to the soul will allow you to gain an invisible advantage when fighting against an opponent." Speaking until here, he looked at the red-haired man again. 1xn's weapon is not completely self-refined. The Devil Cloud Net is just an auxiliary weapon. If it were an offensive weapon, you would have to pay more. Now that he used a middle-grade Dao artifact to compensate you with a high-grade Dao artifact, it would not be too much for him to add some celestial coins. The fat cultivator's words were reasonable, but most of the cultivators present were not artifact crafting masters, so they did not think of this point. Now that the fat cultivator mentioned it, everyone understood that it was the truth. Ning Cheng also had some doubts about whether it was the right decision to find an artifact crafting master to help him refine a spear. What's more, his materials were heaven-defying. In case he met a black-hearted artifact crafting master, it would be the end for him. Seeing the red-faced cultivator's face turn green, the fat cultivator smiled and said, "It's just that many people are not artifact crafting masters. Moreover, the path of artifact crafting takes a long time and requires talent and countless resources. Everyone has no choice but to ask others to help refine artifacts or buy them directly. Think about it. If you have top-grade artifact crafting materials and your cultivation is not high, would you be willing to take out your own materials for others to refine? Because of this, the weapons refined by oneself are especially precious." The people around him stood in the fat cultivator's position, and Ning Cheng also felt that the fat cultivator's words made sense. Because of this trivial matter, he changed his mind. In the beginning, elder brother Tsang Wei had asked him to enter the starry skies to find a top-notch artifact crafting master to craft artifacts. That was because Tsang Wei's cultivation had reached a high level. As such, most artifact crafting masters would not dare to do anything to him. But he couldn't. His cultivation was too low. Tsang Wei could look for an artifact crafting master to help him craft an artifact. However, he had to craft an artifact himself. Slowly clenching his fists, Ning Cheng decided to cultivate on one side, while at the same time he was crafting an artifact, he would have to refine his own spear-type artifact. Seeing the plump cultivator walk out of the merchant house, Ning Cheng quickly followed. Before Ning Cheng could speak, the fat cultivator turned around and stared at Ning Cheng before speaking. "Little fellow, why are you following me?" Ning Cheng quickly cupped his fists and spoke. When this junior heard senior's words a moment ago, it was as if this junior was enlightened. Therefore, this junior wants to learn artifact forging because this junior's cultivation is low and his knowledge is limited. Senior has a unique understanding of blacksmithing, so I would like to ask for your guidance. The fat cultivator, on hearing Ning Cheng's words, couldn't help but stare at Ning Cheng with wide eyes. After a long while, he suddenly laughed and spoke. "After listening to my words, you want to learn crafting artifacts?" Ning Cheng knew what the other party was thinking. He most likely thought of him as an idiot. After hearing someone else's words, he immediately wanted to learn crafting artifacts. If he was not an idiot, then what was he? Good, you have a promising future. It really wasn't easy for you to cultivate to the celestial novice realm. In the eternal heaven starry sky city, the most powerful artifact crafting master is Zhongli Baiqi. You can go find Zhongli Baiqi. There really is such a person? The fat cultivator laughed as he walked away. Was it Zhongli Baiqi or Zhongli Baiqi? While Ning Cheng was still puzzled, the fat cultivator had already disappeared. Ning Cheng had to return to the merchant house once again. This merchant house mainly sold artifacts, and the shop assistant here definitely knew who was the best at crafting artifacts. "Friend, do you want to learn crafting artifacts?" When the shop assistant heard Ning Cheng's question, his first reaction was that Ning Cheng wanted to find an artifact crafting master to help him craft artifacts. He felt that business had arrived and that he should introduce Ning Cheng to purchase artifacts. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up. "No, I just want to inquire about the most powerful artifact crafting master in our eternal heaven starry sky city." The shop assistant laughed. Everyone in the Grand Culmination Starry Sky knows that the most powerful artifact crafting master here is Zhongli Baiqi. Was it really this person? Ning Cheng felt surprised that the fat cultivator did not lie to him. This senior must have very few disciples, right? Ning Cheng carefully asked. The shop assistant laughed this time. This senior has the most disciples. Moreover, he does not reject anyone who wants to take him as an apprentice. As long as you bring a gift to take him as an apprentice, he will accept it. However, the apprentice gift is not light. It is a Starry Sky Grade 9 artifact crafting material. A mere rank 9 artifact crafting material could allow one to worship the most powerful artifact crafting master here as an apprentice? Ning Cheng could not believe it. Since Senior Zhongli accepts disciples, doesn't that mean that Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City has many powerful artifact crafting masters? Ning Cheng subconsciously asked. The shop assistant in the merchant house had nothing to do at the moment. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, he held back a smile and spoke. He does have many disciples, but the most powerful disciple is an artifact crafting genius who studied under him for 70 years. This artifact crafting genius was able to craft low-grade Dao artifacts at the age of 30, and then followed Zhongli Baiqi to learn artifact crafting. 70 years later, this artifact crafting genius left his master. What's the current level of this disciple? Ning Cheng asked eagerly. The shop assistant gave another chuckle. This artifact crafting genius can only craft low-grade Dao artifacts. As for the other disciples, no matter how long they study under him, no matter what weapon they refine, they can only refine the same weapon when they come out. Ning Cheng looked at the shop assistant and spoke. Is this Zhongli Baiqi a liar? This time, the shop assistant spoke up with a straight face. No, he specializes in crafting artifacts for powerhouses in the heaven-seated realm and above. No one has ever said that the weapons he refined were not good. Where does Senior Zhongli live? He lives in the most prosperous celestial immortal street in eternal heaven's starry sky city. Ning Cheng hurriedly walked out of the merchant house. He wanted to see this Zhongli Baiqi. Why did no disciple of such a powerful artifact crafting master succeed? Moreover, Ning Cheng could also take out rank 9 artifact crafting materials. Most likely, this Zhongli Baiqi did not teach any disciples after receiving the apprentice gift. Ning Cheng had just walked out of the merchant house when he received a message from his communication pearl. The message came from Zish Jun. Zish Jun had asked him to meet at the Speed Celestial Rest Stop on Celestial Immortal Street. Even if Ning Cheng did not go to Celestial Immortal Street, Zish Jun had asked him to meet him. This fellow was just too mysterious, and he even knew some of his roots. Celestial Immortal Street was not only spacious but also luxurious. That's right, it was indeed a luxurious street. The entire street was paved with starry sky crystals, which exuded a rich starry sky essence chi. Moreover, because of the continuous supply of starry sky essence chi from celestial essence spiritual veins, the essence chi here would never dry up. The first thing Ning Cheng saw when he arrived was not the Speed Celestial Rest Stop but Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting store. This artifact crafting store looked luxurious and had a magnificent entrance. From time to time, some cultivators would come in and out. Brother Ning. Zish Jun's voice arrived. Ning Cheng shook his head silently. No matter how he changed his appearance, he could even hide from heaven-seated powerhouses. However, he could not hide from this Zish Jun, Brother Zish. Ning Cheng's gaze swept to a small, inconspicuous pavilion not far away. The words Speed Celestial Rest Stop were written above the pavilion. Brother Ning, please come in. Zish Jun enthusiastically ushered Ning Cheng into a smaller booth and placed a restriction over it. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke. Brother Zish truly has some skills. No matter how I change my appearance, I can't hide it from you. If anyone had an enemy like Brother Zish, they would never be able to eat or sleep in peace. Zish Jun laughed. Brother Ning, it's someone else. Brother Ning and I hit it off the moment we met. We are not enemies, but friends. When Brother Ning battled against Lu Pingchuan with a celestial novice cultivation on the Dao discussion stage, I realized that Brother Ning was not an ordinary person. Ning Cheng showed a bitter smile and spoke. You really do know that I killed Lu Pingchuan. I think that when I killed Lu Pingchuan, you should have been watching from the side, right? Zish Jun showed a slight smile but did not answer. Apparently he acquiesced to this matter. I don't know why Brother Zish came looking for me this time. Ning Cheng did not mention anything about the rootless green bamboo. Since Zish Jun saw it from the side, then Zish Jun definitely knew that he had obtained the rootless green bamboo. Until now, he still did not know about the uses of the rootless green bamboo. At least, he had to find out about the uses of the rootless green bamboo before admitting to it. Zish Jun also did not mention the rootless green bamboo. After pouring a cup of tea for Ning Cheng, he spoke up with a smile. Brother Ning came here this time, presumably to enter the Immortal Jade Star. Immortal Jade Star? Ning Cheng looked at Zish Jun in doubt. This was the first time he had heard of this name. He really did not come here to enter the Immortal Jade Star, but to improve his cultivation and then obtain a top-grade flight-type weapon to return to the place he wanted to go. Did you not come here to participate in the Starry Sky Finals? Zish Jun also felt puzzled. He had always thought that Ning Cheng was the same as him, working hard to participate in the Starry Sky Finals of the Celestial Scryer Geniuses. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh and spoke, "Even if I wanted to participate, I don't have a spot. I heard that the Striking Order Starry Skies only has 10 spots. No matter how it is distributed, it would never reach my head." Zish Jun shook his head and spoke, "Because of Lu Pingchuan's death, the Striking Order Starry Skies has one more spot. If you want it, you can still get it. However, there are still 100 spots in the finals that will be auctioned off in the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City. With your net worth, if you want to go, you can still buy one." Ning Cheng remained silent. He understood the meaning behind Zish Jun's words. Since he had obtained so many things, he should be able to exchange them for a spot. However, Ning Cheng did not want to participate in the finals. No matter how many rewards there were, he would never get what he wanted. Chapter 568. Do you know why the finals were held on the immortal Jade Star? Seeing Ning Cheng remaining silent, Zish Jun took the initiative to speak up. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke, "I will have to ask Brother Ziju about this. Because the immortal Jade Star suddenly appeared, some people say that it came from another positional plane, while some people think that the immortal Jade Star was wrapped in a natural grand array. Due to the wear and tear of the starry sky, the natural grand array broke, which suddenly exposed it." Ning Cheng interrupted Zish Jun's words, "Isn't it similar to the drifting starland we encountered on the way? It's just a star continent." Zish Jun gave a laugh and spoke, "Brother Ning, if not for your fearsome moves, I would have really thought that you were a rookie. The star continent we encountered along the way is a broken planet, and its laws are also broken. Moreover, someone has been there before. How can it be compared to a complete planet with complete laws that no one has entered for countless years?" Ning Cheng gave an awkward smile. He really did not understand. This time, the 4 grand starry skies joined forces to seal off the immortal Jade Star, and even held the Celestial Scryer Genius Finals. Ning Cheng once again interrupted Zish Jun's words, "Brother Zish, what did you say about the 4 grand starry skies finals? Doesn't Grand Culmination Starry Sky control this part of the starry sky?" Zish Jun stared at Ning Cheng for a long while before giving out a sigh and speaking, "It looks like Brother Ning doesn't know anything about the starry skies of the universe." Ning Cheng spoke with some embarrassment, "I only know that there are 4 grand starry skies. As for the others, I really don't know much about them." Zish Jun confirmed that Ning Cheng truly did not know about it, before he carefully explained, "Elder Brother Ning, in the vast universe of this plane, there are countless starry skies. Grand Culmination Starry Sky was indeed the center of the entire universe. That was because, in the early days, Grand Culmination Starry Sky was the most powerful place in the universe. But now, things have changed. The 4 grand starry skies referred to the 2 heavens and 2 domains. In addition to the Grand Culmination Starry Sky, there was also the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky, the Grand Demon Domain Starry Sky, and the Grand Devil Domain Starry Sky. Each of the 4 grand starry skies consisted of many smaller starry skies. This time, the immortal Jade Star was discovered by everyone. As such, the Grand Culmination Starry Skies naturally could not monopolize it. Therefore, they decided to hold a genius selection competition to select the ones to enter. Therefore, this time, in addition to the people from the Grand Culmination Starry Skies, there are also many talented cultivators from the other 3 grand starry skies going to the immortal Jade Star. Many thanks for Brother Zish's explanation. I know too little about this starry sky. Ning Cheng spoke with a grateful tone. If Zish Jun hadn't explained these things, he wouldn't have been able to understand them. At this point, how could Zish Jun not understand that Ning Cheng's understanding of this starry sky was that of a novice? He motioned to Ning Cheng not to be polite and continued, "Brother Ning does not care much about the immortal Jade Star. Therefore, I guess that Brother Ning does not know anything about the immortal Jade Star, right?" I was just about to ask Brother Ziju. Ning Cheng also felt a little interested. If the 4 grand starry skies sealed off the immortal jade star, then it definitely would not be something simple. Zish Jun's expression turned a lot more serious as he whispered, I do not want to talk about the immortal jade star's natural treasures. This star has been covered in dust for countless years. As such, it definitely contains many treasures. According to the information I obtained, there are 3 top-grade treasures in the immortal jade star. The first one is a kind of 5-element origin. As for what kind of origin it is, I do not know. Second, there is a supreme starry sky spirit tree called a wind-thunder apricot. What is a wind-thunder apricot? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. He had never heard of such a tree before. Zish Jun shook his head, I do not know about it, but since it can stand side by side with the 5-element origins, it must not be a simple item. What about the third treasure? Ning Cheng grew even more interested. The third treasure is something that everyone wants. I heard that it is a natural-born weapon called the Starry Sky Wheel. Zish Jun spoke with a slightly excited tone. What is the Starry Sky Wheel? At this time, Ning Cheng had already forgotten about looking for Zhongli Baiqi. Zish Jun spoke with a trace of yearning. The Starry Sky Wheel is a flight-type weapon. This kind of natural-born flight-type weapon, not to mention top-grade Dao artifacts, even spirit artifacts would not be comparable to it. Do you know about spirit artifacts? If we used a spirit artifact to travel from the striking order Starry Sky to the grand culmination Starry Sky, it would only take a few months at most, not so many years. A flight-type weapon that is even more powerful than a spirit artifact. Think about it, it is definitely not something that a top-grade Starry Sky battleship can compare to. Ning Cheng's heart started to beat wildly. What he lacked the most was a top-grade flight-type weapon. If he could obtain this Starry Sky Wheel? Thinking of this, Ning Cheng felt his throat turn dry. Could he obtain such a treasure? Not to mention that he did not even have the qualifications to enter the immortal jade star. Ning Cheng swallowed a mouthful of saliva. These things are priceless treasures. Although everyone wants them, I know that these things have nothing to do with me. Not necessarily. I've seen Brother Ning's skills and speed with my own eyes. Moreover, these things are ownerless. As long as Brother Ning enters the immortal jade star, who knows what the final outcome would be? Zish Jun looked at Ning Cheng and spoke with a serious tone. Ning Cheng understood that Zish Jun must have some kind of request to explain these things to him. Zish Jun had also seen the excitement he felt when he heard about the Starry Sky Wheel. However, there was no other way. What he lacked the most right now was a top-grade flight-type weapon. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng tried to calm himself down and spoke in a slow voice. Brother Zish, you should not be looking for me to tell me this news, right? Zish Jun showed a faint smile. Brother Ning, if I said that I came here just to tell you this news, it would be too hypocritical of me. If Brother Ning wants to enter the immortal jade star, I have a way to help Brother Ning get a quota. I only want 3 bamboo leaves from the rootless green bamboo. If Brother Ning has an extra essence-harmonizing celestial fruit, then please give me one. If not, then forget it. Zish Jun was a good person. Not only did he bring him to collect essence-harmonizing celestial fruits, but he also helped him conceal his identity. Therefore, Ning Cheng did not feel that Zish Jun's request was too much. His rootless green bamboo had more than a dozen leaves. Even if there were only a few, Ning Cheng would not be stingy. Not waiting for Zish Jun to say it a second time, Ning Cheng took out the 3 leaves and put them in a jade box. He then took out 3 essence-harmonizing celestial fruits and handed them to Zish Jun. Seeing Ning Cheng take out the jade box without hesitation, Zish Jun's hands trembled with excitement. He opened the jade box that Ning Cheng handed to him and saw the 3 leaves lying inside the jade box. He quickly closed the jade box and activated several restrictions before putting away the jade box. Many thanks, Brother Ning. Thank you, thank you. Zish Jun's voice trembled. Since the moment he saw Ning Cheng, he had maintained a calm and tranquil appearance. However, at this time, he could not help but feel excited. He had always wanted these bamboo leaves, but never had the opportunity to obtain them. That is because he could not come up with anything of similar value to give to Ning Cheng. If he wanted these things just to help conceal Ning Cheng's identity, then it would truly be a tasteless act. Ning Cheng showed a smile. Since Brother Zish helped me keep it a secret, these things are nothing. Brother Zish, please put these things away first. Zish Jun took in a deep breath and finally calmed down. He nodded to Ning Cheng and put away the 3 essence-harmonizing celestial fruits. Seeing Zish Jun put away the things, Ning Cheng asked, Brother Zish, although I obtained this bamboo, I do not know the main use of this thing. I hope that Brother Zish can enlighten me. Zish Jun had already experienced Ning Cheng's ignorance and explained in detail, there are many treasures within the starry skies that can help to reshape the corporeal body. Although they are precious, they can still be found. However, there are very few treasures within the starry skies that can help to reshape the life essence. In fact, it is extremely difficult to find them. However, the rootless green bamboo is one of them. For ordinary cultivators, if their life essence is incomplete, it would be difficult for them to advance to a higher level. However, the rootless green bamboo can help cultivators with incomplete life essence to reshape their life essence, making their life essence complete. Not only that, even if one's soul disperses, as long as you can find a trace of their life essence, you can use the rootless green bamboo to reshape it. So powerful? Ning Cheng secretly marveled in his heart. The rootless green bamboo turned out to be a treasure that could reshape one's life essence. Zish Jun added, that's not all. The rootless green bamboo has a more important role, which is to reshape an avatar. After a powerhouse obtains the rootless green bamboo, they can split off a trace of their life essence and use the complete rootless green bamboo to reshape an avatar. This complete version refers to the fact that the main body of the rootless green bamboo has not been touched, and has at least 7 bamboo leaves. If a cultivator splits their life essence into many parts, wouldn't it be able to create many avatars? Ning Cheng had no interest in creating avatars, nor did he like creating avatars. However, according to Zish Jun, the rootless green bamboo seemed to be able to create many avatars. Zish Jun immediately replied, that's impossible. Within the same starry skies, the laws of heaven and earth absolutely do not allow such a thing to happen. Even if a cultivator could do it, their life essence would be turned to ashes by the thunder tribulation. Besides, what I said about creating an avatar is that one must use a complete rootless green bamboo to create one's own avatar. Many thanks, Brother Zish. I benefited a lot from Brother Zish's words today. Ning Cheng sincerely thanked him with cupped fists. Zish Jun stood up and spoke, Brother Ning, I have something to take care of now. After I help you get this identity, I will immediately tell you about it. Ning Cheng called out to Zish Jun and stretched out his hand to draw a portrait of a female cultivator in the void. Who's this? Zish Jun looked at this young girl with a veil covering her face and asked in doubt. Ning Cheng spoke to Zish Jun in a very serious tone. Brother Zish, I saw this female cultivator not long ago, and it was love at first sight. I have always wanted to find her again, but unfortunately, I am not familiar with this place, nor do I have any acquaintances. Therefore, I would like to ask Brother Zish to help me keep an eye out for her. Once you find her, please let me know immediately. Zish Jun laughed and patted Ning Cheng's shoulder. No problem. I will take my leave first. Brother Ning, please wait for my news. Watching Zish Jun leave the rest stop, Ning Cheng's heart was not longing for the Jade card to enter the immortal Jade Star, but news of Shi Qianghua. Chapter 569. Ning Cheng stood outside Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting store. He really could not understand why an artifact crafting store would have such a name. Senior, may I ask what kind of magic treasure you want to forge? You can just record it here. Ning Cheng had just walked into Zhongli Baiqi artifact crafting store, and had not even had the time to look around the interior of the store, when a soft and pleasant voice rang out in his ears. The one who spoke was a very pretty female cultivator. She stood behind a counter that was half the height of a person, with her hands crossed in front of her chest, while looking at Ning Cheng with a smile in her eyes. Ning Cheng was stunned for a moment. This kind of professional smile, he almost thought that he had returned to Earth. This female cultivator also looked like a celestial gatherer cultivator, yet she still addressed him as senior, a cultivator without a celestial wheel. Oh, I came here to look for Senior Zhongli. I want to learn crafting artifacts from Senior Zhong Li. Ning Cheng did not know if it was really that simple to become an apprentice in this place. When the pretty-looking female cultivator heard that Ning Cheng wanted to take her as his master, the smile on her face grew even brighter. Taking me as your master is naturally not a problem. You just need to tell me your name and then hand over a Starry Sky Grade 9 artifact crafting material. Then you can become my master's disciple. Ning Cheng looked at this female cultivator in doubt. Don't I need to see Senior Zhong Li? The female cultivator showed a faint smile. Of course I have to see you. However, I can only tell you about the rules after you formally acknowledge me as your master. There aren't many rules in our Baichi artifact crafting store, but we have to abide by them. Ning Cheng looked at the pavilion and found that the entrance to the second floor was blocked by a restriction. However, the area of the first floor was not small, but it also had luxurious decorations. A few magic treasures that were at least high-grade Dao artifacts were fixed in place by the crystal array formation. They were placed on the display cabinets, looking very conspicuous. In addition, there was a row of seats for guests to rest. Are you also Senior Zhongli's disciple? Are there a lot of disciples here? Ning Cheng asked as he looked around. Although he had made a small fortune on the floating starland and had a dozen or so Starry Sky Grade 9 artifact crafting raw materials on him, he didn't have enough raw materials. The delicate-looking female cultivator immediately revealed a look of respect. Of course I'm Senior Zhong Li's disciple. There are many people who come here to take me as their master, but there aren't many who understand Tools Dao. Master is kind-hearted and always wants to pass on his legacy. At this moment, another cultivator came in. This cultivator's eyes only glanced at Ning Cheng slightly, but Ning Cheng immediately felt a little suppressed. This person definitely was a powerhouse in the heaven-seated realm. This cultivator didn't care about a low-leveled cultivator like Ning Cheng. He just glanced at Ning Cheng before taking out a dozen materials and placing them in front of the pretty-looking female cultivator. I want to craft a high-grade defensive Dao artifact. A shield-shaped one would do. The pretty-looking female cultivator calmly put away the materials and said, Senior can come and get it tomorrow. After the cultivator heard this, he turned around and left, not leaving any evidence behind. After the cultivator left, Ning Cheng asked, Is it because the price for crafting high-grade Dao artifacts is fixed, so this senior did not say the price? The female cultivator showed a faint smile towards Ning Cheng and spoke. This place does not accept celestial coins for crafting artifacts, but only double the materials. Double the materials might not be the same, but it must be double. Ning Cheng secretly felt surprised. If it were an ordinary weapon, then it would have been fine. However, refining a high-grade Dao artifact would require twice the amount of materials. Senior Martial Brother, have you decided to take me as your master? If not, you can come back tomorrow. The female cultivator didn't seem to want to talk to Ning Cheng anymore. Ning Cheng hesitated for a long time before pretending to feel some pain. He took out a fist-sized material and placed it in front of the female cultivator. My name is Wanderer, and this is my apprenticeship gift. Extreme Fire Silkworm Gold? The female cultivator reached out and grabbed the material Ning Cheng handed over and spoke out in surprise. As for Ning Cheng's name, she didn't seem to care about it at all. Good stuff. The female cultivator grabbed the red material and looked at it for a while before saying those 3 words before putting it away. I haven't asked Senior Martial Sister's surname. Ning Cheng saw the female cultivator put away the Extreme Fire Silkworm Gold and quickly asked. In fact, what he wanted to ask was not the surname of this female cultivator, but when he could meet Zhongli Baichi. The female cultivator looked at Ning Cheng with a smile and spoke. You don't have to call me Senior Martial Sister. I'm the youngest among all the disciples here. Just call me Junior Martial Sister Yen. Don't worry, just sit here and wait. Every disciple, this master will do his best to teach them. Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. He did not know why Zhongli Baichi's other disciples could not learn his artifact crafting methods. In his opinion, as long as this senior Zhongli taught them with all his heart, he did not believe that he would not be able to learn it. The most powerful ability of the mysterious yellow formless was learning. What's more, before he obtained the mysterious yellow bead, his greatest ability was learning. Junior martial sister Yen, I don't know how master teaches. I have never learned artifact crafting before, so I would like to consult senior martial sister first. Ning Cheng politely asked from the side. This delicate and pretty female cultivator's face reverted to the professional smile she had when Ning Cheng came in, before she spoke up in a gentle tone. The first time master teaches is to let you watch him craft artifacts. Ning Cheng nodded, that's for the best. I'm not familiar with artifact crafting, so I will first see how master crafts artifacts, so that I can be prepared. Junior martial sister Yen, after watching master craft artifacts, will you start teaching from the basics? Junior martial sister Yen still had a professional smile on her face as she spoke. Whatever you want to learn in the future, it will have to depend on senior martial brother. Junior martial sister Yen looked at Ning Cheng and shook her head. No, it's to see what kind of artifact crafting materials senior martial brother brings out in the future. Ning Cheng felt slightly startled and immediately asked, is it to ask questions that I don't understand, and then guide me in a targeted manner? Junior martial sister Yen looked at Ning Cheng and shook her head. No, it's to see what kind of artifact crafting materials senior martial brother brings out, and then we can talk about the second time. No wonder this old fogey did not have a single good disciple for countless years. Who would have thought that there would be such a swindler? Only by handing over a Starry Sky Grade 9 artifact crafting material would one get a chance to watch master craft artifacts. How many materials would he need to learn artifact crafting from this master? Zhongli Baiqi, Ning Cheng finally understood the meaning of this name. This was more than just eating for free, it was simply eating for free without any sense of shame. For a disciple who had never learned artifact crafting, it would be strange if he could learn how to craft a Dao artifact. Seeing Ning Cheng silently find a place to sit down, junior martial sister Yen felt a little strange. Many cultivators, after learning about this rule, would immediately kick up a fuss. However, making a fuss here, apart from being thrown out, would not bring them any benefits. They would even lose the chance to watch an artifact crafting. This disciple without a celestial wheel, yet he was able to keep his composure. By the way, what was his name? It seemed that he was called Wanderer, which sounded like a fake name. However, who cared if he had a name or not? Ning Cheng knew that it did not make any sense for him to make a fuss. Therefore, he chose to sit here quietly to watch Zhongli Baiqi craft artifacts before leaving. Letting him continue to hand over Starry Sky materials and continue learning artifact crafting, he was not that stupid. One day passed by quickly, while Ning Cheng sat in the store without moving. Business here was quite good, with people bringing in materials from time to craft artifacts. Senior martial brother Wanderer, please follow me upstairs to watch master craft artifacts. Ning Cheng, who had been sitting for a day, finally heard junior martial sister Yan's invitation. Junior martial sister Yan activated the restriction over the artifact crafting store and then led Ning Cheng to the second floor. As soon as Ning Cheng reached the second floor, he immediately felt a chill. He felt a little strange in his heart. It stood to reason that artifact crafting places were always hot, so why did this place feel so cold? Ning Cheng immediately came to know what was going on. An incomparably thin old man was in the middle of refining a sword artifact. An ice-cold flame surrounded the sword, and the surrounding temperature seemed to be sucked away by the sword. At the same time, the aura coming from the sword grew stronger and stronger. From the looks of it, it was at least a high-grade Dao artifact. As the old man made one mysterious gesture after another, array formations overlapped and intertwined within the ice-cold flame before finally merging into the sword. With a crisp sound, the sword in the old man's hand seemed to have gained a life of its own. It rushed out of the ice-cold flame and suspended above the old man's head. After the sword rushed out, the ice-cold flame also disappeared in an instant. Good sword. Junior martial sister Yen looked at the sword suspended above the old man's head and called out in surprise. Ning Cheng looked at the old man and secretly thought to himself, is this Zhongli Baiqi? Sure enough, he looks like a freeloader. A few sparse hairs rested on top of his head, while he sat there with his back hunched. Although his eyes looked down, Ning Cheng could still see that Zhongli Baiqi had two eyes, one big and one small. The old man also raised his head and glanced at Ning Cheng. Since you've learned it, then go down. Ning Cheng felt both shocked and angry. This old thing, he had just come up, yet he had already learned it. What was going on here? Junior Marshal Sister Yen spoke to Ning Cheng with a smile. Senior Apprentice Brother, please follow me downstairs. Senior Apprentice Brother is always welcome to come and learn next time. Ning Cheng did not pay any attention to this Junior Apprentice Sister Yen. He cupped his fists towards Zhongli Baiqi and spoke, Senior Baiqi, although I know that you cultivated a cheap hand, but by the time I came up, your cheap hand had already recovered. When I paid the tuition fee, I said that I would be able to watch you refine an artifact once. However, I have only seen 1/10 of it. Senior's reputation has spread far and wide across the grand culmination starry skies, so surely you wouldn't go back on your words, right? If Senior really wants to teach me because I saw you refining it, oh, it's just 1/10 of the refining process, then I would have nothing to say. Ah. Zhongli Baiqi on hearing Ning Cheng's words unexpectedly laughed. Since you think that you did not understand it, then I will refine another artifact. That 1/10 of the sword refining process can be considered as a gift to you. Many thanks, Senior. Ning Cheng cupped his fists. That 1/10 of the refining process belongs to Senior. I do not dare to ask you to give it to me as a gift. As long as Senior reaches 9/10 of the refining process, then you can stop. Humph, do you think this master only knows how to refine swords? As Zhongli Baiqi spoke, several materials flew out from his hands. Chapter 570. After Zhongli Baiqi took out the materials, Ning Cheng no longer spoke. He only had this one chance. Zhongli Baiqi suddenly brought out a faint golden flame, and Ning Cheng immediately felt the celestial river flame in his Zifu jumping up and down. What a powerful flame! Ning Cheng did not know anything about this flame, but this flame was much more powerful than his celestial river flame. The moment the celestial river flame jumped, Zhongli Baiqi looked up at Ning Cheng, but he quickly focused his attention on the materials in his hands. Several materials suspended in the flame began to tremble before slowly dissolving. Some of the impurities directly turned to ash under the flames. Zhongli Baiqi's hands moved faster and faster. Ning Cheng's vision could not keep up with Zhongli Baiqi's rhythm. At this moment, Ning Cheng completely immersed himself in this rhythm. He subconsciously stretched out his spiritual consciousness and penetrated into the terrifying flame. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness penetrated into the flame, Zhongli Baiqi felt a slight shock. He even looked up at Ning Cheng in disbelief. A mere celestial gatherer cultivator without a celestial will could actually penetrate his spiritual consciousness into his flame? At this moment, Ning Cheng completely forgot that he was watching someone else craft artifacts. His mind was filled with one scene after another, connected by a series of hand gestures. Although Zhongli Baiqi's hands moved faster and faster, the images in Ning Cheng's mind grew clearer and clearer. He saw the materials fusing layer by layer, then pulling them apart before fusing again. One after another, the shapes of weapons appeared in his consciousness, and he could clearly see the changes in every part of these weapons. At this moment, something seemed to open up in his consciousness. It was an ancient leather scroll with many vicissitudes of life on it. He then saw some irrelevant words on the leather scroll. Then he saw the words on the leather scroll fusing with Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting hand gestures, forming one scene after another. It was a saber artifact, and the saber artifact crafting hand gestures cut through the sky, directly splitting a huge mountain in half. Then this long saber turned into a square seal, and when this huge square seal fell down, it directly turned the two halves of the mountain into dust. Endless images flashed in front of Ning Cheng, seemingly to serve the last scene. The images were densely packed, and at this moment, Ning Cheng completely immersed himself in them. Song, a crisp sound rang out, causing Ning Cheng to sober up from his immersion. He felt shocked in his heart, not only because of Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting level, but also because he saw something familiar in Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting techniques. It was the leather scroll that he had on him. He had snatched this leather scroll from Kong Cheng. After that, he looked at it a few times. Every time, it was a dense image. Although he had comprehended some techniques from it, there wasn't anything particularly powerful. But today, when he saw Zhongli Baiqi crafting an artifact, he unexpectedly gained a kind of enlightenment. If they were not in this place, he would have taken out the leather scroll long ago. Seeing a long hook suspended in front of Zhongli Baiqi, Ningcheng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He felt as if he had just realized that Zhongli Baiqi's long hook had already been refined. However, he did not see the final scene of the long hook forming. Seeing Zhongli Baiqi staring at him, Ningcheng cupped his fists and spoke, "Many thanks to Senior Zhongli for allowing me to observe the artifact crafting process. This junior will take his leave now." Saying that, Ningcheng immediately stood up, turned around and walked down the stairs. Junior apprentice Sister Yen, on seeing Ningcheng walk away, quickly followed. This time, Ningcheng's harvest was not small. As such, he was not in the mood to continue staying here. He wanted to go into seclusion and comprehend the Tao of artifacts. Zhongli Baiqi did not speak. He just looked at Ningcheng's disappearing back and frowned in contemplation. Junior apprentice Sister Yen, many thanks. Goodbye. Ningcheng walked to the entrance of the artifact crafting store before turning around and politely saying a few words. Junior apprentice Sister Yen was just about to speak when she suddenly trembled slightly and spoke up, "Senior apprentice Brother Wanderer, please wait a moment." After saying that, she quickly returned to the store. A moment later, Junior apprentice Sister Yen handed a thick book to Ningcheng and said, "Senior apprentice brother, this is a book on the basics of crafting artifacts. Master asked me to give it to you. Was there such a thing in this era? Why not a jade strip?" Ningcheng took the book and thanked her before asking, "Junior apprentice Sister Yen, does every disciple who accepts a master have such a book?" Junior apprentice Sister Yen showed a faint smile but did not answer Ningcheng's question. Instead, she just said goodbye before activating the restriction on the door. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the book in his hand and was surprised to find that his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate the book at all. As there were too many cultivators on the street, Ningcheng did not continue to read it. After throwing the book into his ring, he quickly left the artifact crafting store. Celestial Rainbow Rest Stop. It was just a small rest stop in the eternal heaven's starry sky city. There were thousands of such rest stops in the eternal heaven's starry sky city. The reason why Ningcheng chose this rest stop was that it was relatively remote and cheap. Learning artifact crafting was not something that could be done in a day or two. In a place like the eternal heaven's starry sky city, celestial coins were not worth much. After rearranging a stack of array formations in his room, Ningcheng first took out the book that Zhongli Baiqi had given him. Opening the first page, Ningcheng saw a variety of materials introduced in great detail. Not only did it contain the shape, aura, characteristics and so on, but it also contained its main functions. Good stuff, Ningcheng felt pleasantly surprised. If this book contained an introduction to a variety of materials, he would have been willing to exchange a starry sky grade 9 artifact crafting material for it. However, Ningcheng quickly felt that something was wrong. He could not open the second page, nor could his spiritual consciousness penetrate the second page. Not to mention that his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate the second page, even the contents of the first page could only be seen with his eyes. He could not use his spiritual consciousness to sweep through it. Was this a book that could only be read with the eyes and not with spiritual consciousness? Ningcheng's powerful memory played a role at this time, and he quickly memorized the contents of the first page. Sure enough, after memorizing the contents of the first page, he could easily turn to the second page. A day passed by quickly, and with Ningcheng turning a page every few seconds, he had no idea how many pages he had read and how many starry sky materials he had memorized. However, the thick book seemed to have only turned a few pages. 1 month, 2 months later, Ningcheng still kept reading the book. His stubborn temper flared up, and he would not give up until he finished reading the book. The 3rd month passed by, and when Ningcheng turned the last page, he knew very well that the value of this book was more than just 1 starry sky grade 9 material. In fact, it might even be worth more than 10. How could this Zhongli Baiqi be so good? How could he give him such a good thing? Ning Cheng thought about it for a long time but could not figure out what was going on. He simply did not bother to think about it and took out the leather scroll. Just as he took out the leather scroll, all kinds of images once again filled Ning Cheng's mind and appeared in front of him. Previously, he had only seen Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting technique once. But at this time, Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting technique unexpectedly broke down in these images and became extremely clear. As Ning Cheng immersed himself in these images, the artifact crafting technique evolved from the leather scroll gradually blurred, and a new concept of artifact crafting Dao emerged in Ning Cheng's mind. The images in the leather scroll combined with these artifact crafting concepts, causing Ning Cheng to involuntarily take out the materials and start crafting. He brought out the celestial river flame, and the pile of materials transformed within the flame before easily transforming into low-grade true artifacts. From low-grade true artifacts to top-grade true artifacts, it felt like a natural evolution. When the true artifacts in Ning Cheng's hands transformed into top-grade true artifacts, he immediately threw them aside. As the higher-grade materials fell into his hands, he melted them down, transformed them, and then carved out array formations. As the materials in Ning Cheng's ring continued to decrease, more and more Dao artifacts appeared in front of him. Although all of them were low-grade Dao artifacts, the quality of each one was obviously better than the previous one. Ding dang! Ning Cheng threw another low-grade Dao artifact long spear to the ground. He grabbed his hair and muttered to himself, "Why can't I craft a middle-grade Dao artifact? Because you do not have a Dao. If not for returning to one, you would never be able to craft a low-grade Dao artifact." A sudden voice appeared in Ning Cheng's ears. "Who is it?" Ning Cheng suddenly looked up and saw Zhongli Baiqi sitting across from him. He immediately stood up in shock. "Senior Zhongli, how did you come in?" Zhongli Baiqi showed a smile, one big and one small pair of eyes flashing. "Little fellow, if I wanted to harm you, I would have killed 100 of you." Ning Cheng sat down in disappointment. Although Zhongli Baiqi's words were not pleasant to hear, it was the truth. It would have been easy for the other party to kill him. "May I ask why Senior has come to this Junior?" Ning Cheng spoke with some helplessness. "You have a good flame, good luck, and even better qualifications than I have ever seen. Unfortunately, you did not meet a famous teacher. What a waste, what a waste. You see, you have only just worshipped me as your master, yet you can already craft low-grade Dao artifacts." Zhongli Baiqi spoke while shaking his head. Ning Cheng felt speechless in his heart. What did his ability to craft low-grade Dao artifacts have to do with this Zhongli Baiqi? It was because he saw Zhongli Baiqi crafting artifacts, which allowed him to comprehend his own leather scroll. After coming back, he managed to advance by leaps and bounds. Well, one cannot say that it had nothing to do with Zhongli Baiqi crafting artifacts. It was also because he saw Zhongli Baiqi crafting artifacts that he understood the leather scroll. "Where did you get this returning to one?" Zhongli Baiqi pointed to the leather scroll beside Ning Cheng and asked. Ning Cheng picked up the leather scroll and looked at Zhongli Baiqi in doubt. "Is this leather scroll called Returning to One?" Zhongli Baiqi raised his hand, and the leather scroll in Ning Cheng's hand fell into his hand. "Yes, this is Returning to One, all things returning to one." "Is this leather scroll the artifact crafting secrets of success?" Ning Cheng quickly asked. Zhongli Baiqi shook his head. "No, this is Returning to One. Whether it is the artifact crafting Dao or the Dao of arrays, one can find enlightenment from it. Moreover, it is a supreme spirit technique. This spirit technique is called Returning to One." "Please enlighten me, Senior." Ning Cheng spoke with a respectful tone. Zhongli Baiqi shook his head again. "If I could enlighten you, it would not be called Returning to One. Everyone's returning to one is different, and it is the same for you." Chapter 571. Zhongli Baiqi held the leather scroll in his hand and looked at it for a long time before giving out a sigh. He then handed the leather scroll back to Ning Cheng and said, "This kind of thing can only be understood and not explained. I originally wanted to take you as a disciple, but unfortunately, I can't teach you anything." Ning Cheng knew that Zhongli Baiqi was not an ordinary person, So he quickly bowed and spoke. I don't need Master to teach me returning to one. Master can teach me artifact crafting. Master Zhongli Baiqi suddenly understood. Yes, I came to you to teach you artifact crafting. How could I forget? Are you willing to take me as your master? Ning Qing quickly replied, Of course. Wasn't this nonsense? He came to Zhongli Baiqi's store to learn artifact crafting. Well, sit down. In fact, I already wanted to take you as a disciple when I knew that you possessed the celestial river flame and had such a powerful spiritual consciousness. After that, you spent 3 months reading 1/10 of my book, which made me very satisfied. Not waiting for Zhongli Baiqi to continue, Ning Qing quickly spoke up, Master, I've finished reading that book. Really? Then take it out and let me have a look. Zhongli Baiqi stared at Ning Qing with big eyes. Ning Qing quickly took out the basics of crafting artifact crafting, but when he opened the first page, he suddenly felt dumbfounded. He had never seen this kind of content before. Moreover, it not only contained the names of the materials, but also contained the fusion methods for crafting artifacts, as well as some array formation engraving methods. Zhongli Baiqi slowly spoke up from the side. This book also contains the content on crafting various weapons. If you want to become a top-notch Starry Sky artifact crafting master, then you have to slowly learn from it. If you want to become a unique artifact crafting master, then don't learn from it. Ning Qing looked at Zhongli Baiqi in doubt. What did this mean? The Tao of artifact crafting is a Tao. No matter how powerful this book is, it is still written by someone else and not something innate. It belongs to someone else's Tao. If you follow this book to learn, it would be equivalent to falling into someone else's Tao. A true artifact crafting master must have his own Tao, which is the Tao of artifact crafting. You can't refine middle-grade Tao artifacts right now because you have yet to fully comprehend your own Tao. Zhongli Baiqi spoke with a calm voice. Seeing Ning Qing about to ask, Zhongli Baiqi raised his hand to stop Ning Qing's words. You don't have to ask me. You don't have to think about it right now. You will understand it later. You were able to see the countless changes in the origin divine ability return to one, so it's clear that you have a type of origin within you. Ning Qing was surprised in his heart. Zhongli Baiqi did not seem to have any malicious intentions towards him, but the matter of him possessing the mysterious yellow origin was too much of a secret. How did he know about it? Zhongli Baiqi seemed to know what Ning Qing was thinking and waved his hand. You don't have to worry about it. I don't care about what kind of origin you have. I did accept you as my disciple for a purpose, but it's not what you think. As for my goal, I'll tell you after you've learned it. At that time, I'll need your help. There weren't many origin divine abilities, but the unity divine ability was very impressive. Now that you've obtained it, it's your destiny. Ning Qing picked up the returning to one leather scroll and handed it to Zhongli Baiqi. Master, since this thing is so amazing, then give it to Master. Zhongli Baiqi showed a smile. Don't play games with me. This thing is amazing, but it has no use for me. I have my own Tao and will not study this kind of origin spirit technique. The more origins one obtains, the better it is. This time, the immortal jade star appeared, and I heard that it contains an origin. You can go in and try your luck. This disciple is planning to go in and have a look. Ning Qing replied. He wanted to go in and have a look. Apart from the origin, what he wanted the most was the Starry Sky Wheel. However, Zish Jun had not contacted him yet, so he did not know if he could obtain a quota. Zhongli Baiqi shook his head. If you hadn't met me, even if you managed to come out, it would have been a dead end for you. Ning Qing looked at Zhongli Baiqi in surprise. Why? Zhongli Baiqi sneered. It's because the cultivation method you study is a primal chaos cultivation method. Ning Qing grew even more panicked. He had studied the mysterious yellow formless, but he did not know what grade of cultivation method it was. However, elder brother Tsang Wei had mentioned that his mysterious yellow bead was a good fortune treasure. From this, he understood that the mysterious yellow formless was not a simple thing. Zhongli Baiqi, on seeing Ning Qing's panic, spoke up with a softer tone. In this vast starry sky of ours, there are countless cultivation methods and inheritances. However, there is a cultivation method called the primal chaos cultivation method. Because this cultivation method overrides a positional plane, the cultivators who cultivate it do not have celestial wheels. However, you happen to be a cultivator without celestial wheels. Ning Cheng tried to calm himself down. Master, I'm not the only cultivator without celestial wheels. There are a lot of them everywhere. I heard that cultivators in the celestial bridge realm do not have celestial wheels, so why am I in danger? Zhongli Baiqi looked at Ning Cheng like an idiot. Do you know why the starry sky cultivators in our positional plane have celestial wheels? If a cultivator has celestial wheels, it means that he or she is recognized by this universe and possesses the power of celestial wheels bestowed by this universe. If one does not have celestial wheels, then there are only two reasons. First, the cultivation method cultivated by this cultivator is garbage, and his cultivation method is not worthy of being recognized by this starry sky. This kind of cultivator can only reach the heavens mandate realm at most, and it is absolutely impossible to condense a heaven seat. There are indeed a lot of such cultivators, and because of this, no one has ever suspected you. Second, the cultivation method cultivated by this cultivator is heaven-defying and has exceeded the starry sky of this side of the universe. The laws of his cultivation method far exceed the starry sky of this side. So how could this side of the universe's starry sky bestow a cultivator with celestial wheels? Since you do not have celestial wheels, it is obviously not because your qualifications are poor or your cultivation method is garbage, but because your cultivation method exceeds the starry sky of this side of the universe. Otherwise, your spiritual consciousness would not be able to penetrate my flames. Ning Cheng felt cold sweat trickling down his back. He had seen many cultivators with poor qualifications without celestial wheels, but he did not care about it. He thought that it was also because of his lack of qualifications. He did not expect that there would be such a terrible trap. Master, does that mean that the primal chaos cultivation method is the most powerful? When Ning Cheng asked this question, he had already tacitly agreed that his mysterious yellow formless was a primal chaos cultivation method. Zhongli Baiqi gave out a sigh and spoke. I heard that walking out of the primal chaos is a good fortune cultivation method, but even I am not very clear about it. If that is the case, then the most powerful cultivation method should be a good fortune cultivation method. He did not know whether his mysterious yellow formless was a primal chaos cultivation method or a good fortune cultivation method. Because you cultivate a primal chaos cultivation method, I have no way to teach you. Therefore, I can only teach you artifact crafting. Zhongli Baiqi, on seeing Ning Cheng remain silent, did not continue to talk about cultivation methods. Ning Cheng quickly spoke. Then I ask Master to teach me. This disciple will definitely work hard to learn crafting artifacts. Zhongli Baiqi stared at Ning Cheng and spoke. I've already taught you. What? Ning Cheng also stared at Zhongli Baiqi with wide eyes. When did that happen? Isn't he a little too good at bluffing? A Dao artifact first has a Dao, and then there is an artifact. You must first comprehend your own Dao and then refine an artifact. When you have your own Dao, you can integrate your own Dao into weapon forging, and you can step into tools Dao. This is the last time I will teach you. If you don't understand it, then forget it. Zhongli Baiqi spoke with some dissatisfaction. That's it? After Ning Cheng heard it, he felt as if 10,000 horses were galloping in his heart. That's it. Zhongli Baiqi spoke with certainty. Ning Cheng felt speechless. With such an artifact crafting master, he might as well not have taken him as an apprentice. Just by teaching him a few words, Zhongli Baiqi had already taken him as an apprentice. One must know that he had just taken him as an apprentice. In desperation, Ning Cheng continued to ask, are the most powerful things within the Starry Skies Dao artifacts? Are those Starry Sky battleships and the flowing sky cannons from the technological planets more powerful than Dao artifacts? Zhongli Baiqi spoke up with disdain. Things from the technological planets? Bah, that's just garbage, a child's toy. People with no ability like to use these things. Ning Cheng did not feel surprised by Zhongli Baiqi's words. He had personally witnessed the large-scale lethality of a celestial river-class battleship. Seeing Ning Cheng's disapproval, Zhongli Baiqi gave a snort and spoke. When your cultivation reaches a certain level, you will understand what I mean. After Tao artifacts, there are still spirit artifacts. Moreover, there are countless treasures more powerful than spirit artifacts. However, these are not things that humans can refine. These are all opportunities and treasures. If you have the opportunity, you will obtain them. If you don't have the opportunity, even if a treasure appeared in front of you, you would not be able to obtain it. Then, may I ask, Master, what is the most powerful treasure? Ning Cheng originally wanted to ask about the origin of the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. However, when the words reached his mouth, he changed them. Zhongli Baiqi shook his head. There is no such thing as the most powerful treasure in the vast universe, only more powerful treasures. The cycle of heaven and earth, all things counteract each other. This is an unchanging truth. If you really understood returning to one, then returning to one would be the most powerful treasure for you. Ning Cheng secretly thought that even if he understood returning to one, the most powerful treasure for him would not be returning to one, but sunset's twilight. Zhongli Baiqi did not know what Ning Cheng was thinking and continued, in fact, it is not that there are no truly powerful treasures. I heard that when the universe first opened, there were several kinds of good fortune treasures. Ning Cheng quickly asked, Master, what are good fortune treasures? Are there many of these treasures? Zhongli Baiqi gave out a sigh. I only heard that a good fortune indestructible axe fell in our world, but I don't know anything else. Then how can I obtain this axe? Your appetite is not small, wanting to obtain the good fortune indestructible axe. Zhongli Baiqi gave a snort. Good fortune treasures are not something that you can obtain just because you want to. This kind of treasure chooses its master. Ning Cheng suddenly understood. Previously, elder brother Zhang Wei had mentioned that the mysterious yellow bead needed to gather all 5 kinds of origins before it could form a world. He had also said that finding these 5 kinds of origins in the vast universe, wouldn't it be extremely difficult? In fact, he had already obtained 2 kinds of origins. From this, it could be seen that good fortune treasures truly had a kind of connection. That is, once a good fortune treasure recognized a master, these origins would then appear in front of the master's eyes. Otherwise, they might never appear. No wonder he could get some information about origins from time to time. It turned out to be like this. In the vast starry sky universe, there were indeed some things that could not be explained clearly. Chapter 572. I'm going to leave this place for a few years. If you want to learn crafting artifacts, you cannot continue living here. Your flames are too dangerous. If I can detect it, then other people would also be able to detect it. Since you are now my disciple, you can live in my Baiqi artifact crafting store. Zhongli Baiqi spoke before taking out a mask and handing it to Ning Cheng. When you go to the immortal Jade Star, remember to use this mask to change your appearance and aura. Although Ning Cheng did not understand why Zhongli Baiqi treated him so well, he knew that he had no other choice. He reached out and took the mask before asking, even if I wear this mask, I still don't have a celestial wheel, right? You can solve the problem of celestial wheels by yourself. With your cultivation method, it would not be difficult to simulate a vague celestial wheel. If you can't do it, then don't even think about going to the immortal Jade Star. Zhongli Baiqi spoke without hesitation. Ning Cheng felt helpless. He felt sure that Zhongli Baiqi had a cultivation method to simulate a celestial wheel. However, the other party did not want to teach him. Ning Cheng had no choice but to speak up. I don't have a quota to go to the immortal Jade Star. You can solve the quota yourself. If you can't even solve this problem, then you don't have to go to the immortal Jade Star. Zhongli Baiqi's tone remained as unyielding as before. Then Master, what do you want me to help you with in the future? Ning Cheng did not believe that Zhongli Baiqi would treat him so well for no reason. Zhongli Baiqi showed a sly smile, one big and one small eyes filled with pride. You can rest assured that I will not let you die. Even if there is a danger of death, I will pull you out at the last moment. Hearing these words, Ning Cheng's face immediately turned black. He felt sure that whatever this cheap master wanted him to do, it would not be a good thing. Zhongli Baiqi acted as if he did not see Ning Cheng's expression. He stood up and patted his robes before speaking, "I'm leaving. When I'm not in the artifact crafting store, you have to take care of your junior apprentice sister. Also, after coming out of the immortal Jade Star, if you can obtain the Starry Sky Wheel, please give it to me." After saying that, Zhongli Baiqi's figure faded away and soon disappeared from sight. Ning Cheng stood up and muttered in a low voice, "Stop dreaming, I'm going for the Starry Sky Wheel. This can be discussed, but this place is not suitable for you to learn artifact crafting. If I hadn't helped you arrange a few array formations, someone would have discovered your flame a long time ago." Zhongli Baiqi's voice once again came from the distance. Ning Cheng was shocked. What cultivation did this old man have? Regardless of Zhongli Baiqi's cultivation, Ning Cheng knew that the other party's last sentence was correct. His grade 3 celestial array couldn't hide anything in this place. Previously, when he was immersed in the enlightenment of artifact crafting, he had brought out the celestial river to craft artifacts. Under normal circumstances, he would not take such a risk. Sighing, Ning Cheng sat down in a decadent manner. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng was so shocked that he almost stood up again. He was just thinking about how to simulate the celestial wheels when two vague shadows of celestial wheels appeared behind him. Ning Ning King, Ning Truly, Ning Powerful, Ning Ching Ning to King. This celestial wheel appeared out of nowhere, as if it was born from the heart. This was definitely the result of the formidable mysterious yellow formless cultivation method. Is this really a chaos cultivation method that transcends the starry sky of this universe? Celestial wheels could be born from the heart, which made Ning Cheng feel relieved. Regarding Zhongli Baiqi's warning, Ning Cheng also felt that it was necessary. He tidied up all the array formations in the house and prepared to head to Zhongli Baiqi's artifact crafting store. However, deep in his heart, Ning Cheng still had some reservations about Zhongli Baiqi. As such, he did not mention anything about the mysterious yellow bead and the everlasting blue thunder city. Zhongli Baiqi had accepted him as an apprentice, and it seemed that he needed his help. In comparison, Ning Cheng believed in Song Wei more. Moreover, Zhongli Baiqi only knew about the good fortune indestructible axe, while Song Wei knew about all the good fortune treasures. In this regard, it seemed that Song Wei had more knowledge than Zhongli Baiqi. Leaving the celestial rainbow rest stop, Ning Cheng simply took out his communication pearl and sent a message to Zish Jun. It had already been 4 or 5 months. Zish Jun did not know if he had managed to obtain the jade card. If he had not obtained it, then he would have to find it himself. More importantly, he had asked Zish Jun to inquire about the news. Zish Jun quickly sent a message back to Ning Cheng, asking Ning Cheng to find him at the Culmination Public Square in the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City. After receiving Zish Jun's message, Ning Cheng immediately dispelled the idea of going to the artifact crafting store. He knew about the Culmination Public Square, one of the top 10 public squares in the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City and also the largest public square. Ning Cheng rushed to the Culmination Public Square as fast as he could. He had seen all kinds of Starry Sky public squares. Although the Culmination Public Square looked very grand, he did not feel anything special about it. Ning Cheng had just arrived at the Culmination Public Square when his spiritual consciousness swept towards Zish Jun. Zish Jun was looking around, seemingly looking for him. Zish Jun had recognized him several times, which made Ning Cheng feel a bit of a knot in his heart. This time, he had used Zhongli Baiqi's mask to disguise himself as an ordinary Starry Skies wanderer. If Zish Jun could still recognize him this time, then he could only say that Zhongli Baiqi's mask was nothing special. To Ning Cheng's delight, he deliberately walked back and forth in front of Zish Jun a few times, yet Zish Jun still could not recognize him. This made Ning Cheng feel refreshed. He walked up to Zish Jun and stopped him. "Friend, I have something to discuss with you." Zish Jun, who was looking for Ning Cheng, immediately looked at Ning Cheng with vigilance and asked, "Excuse me, what's the matter? Shouldn't you pay back the 10 billion purple coins you owe me?" Ning Cheng's words scared Zish Jun. 10th billion purple coins. Even if he sold himself, he would not have that many celestial coins. This person definitely came looking for trouble. Not waiting for Zish Jun to speak, Ning Cheng laughed and spoke. Brother Zish, you don't recognize me this time, do you? Zish Jun stared at Ning Cheng in shock for a while before speaking up in disbelief. Your brother Ning, but how do you have a celestial wheel? I always had a celestial wheel, but I hid it before. Let's not talk about it. My name is not Ning Cheng now, but Wanderer. I've offended some people here, so Brother Zish, please help me. Ning Cheng patted Zish Jun's shoulder. Since Zish Jun could not recognize him now, even if he changed his appearance in the future, Zish Jun would still not be able to recognize him. Zhongli Baiqi really did have a few tricks up his sleeves. Zish Jun finally calmed down and praised, Brother Wanderer really is amazing. Let's go, let's find a place to sit down and talk. Ning Cheng appreciated this aspect of Zish Jun and never asked about it. Although Ning Cheng was curious about his change in appearance and the appearance of his celestial wheel, he never asked about it. Brother Zish, do you have any news about the female cultivator I asked you to inquire about? Ning Cheng couldn't help but ask before walking out of the public square. Zish Jun smiled, you really are a sentimental person. I thought that your first question would be about my quota jade card. I didn't expect you to ask about the female cultivator you fell in love with at first sight. Seeing Ning Cheng about to speak, Zish Jun quickly stopped in front of him and spoke, you don't have to worry about it. I'm staying here to help you. I heard about that female cultivator. She's from Nine Jewels Starry Sky's everlasting sacred shrine. I'm afraid that this idea of yours will come to nothing. The disciples of the everlasting sacred shrine are extremely noble, not something that ordinary people like us can curry favor with. Where is she now? Ning Cheng eagerly asked. He did not care about limitless or not. The first thing he wanted to know was whether that female cultivator was Qianghua or not. A few days ago, she and a few fellow disciples went to the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower and have not come out yet. I wanted to see which floor she could reach before contacting you. I didn't expect you to contact me first, Zish Jun said in a low voice. What is the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower? Zish Jun understood that Ning Cheng did not know much about this place and patiently explained, the most famous place in the eternal heaven starry sky city is the culmination public square, which is where we are now. However, the reason why the Zhongtian Plaza was famous was not because of the plaza, but because of the three towers. 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower, Falling Celestial River Tower, Eternal Starry Sky Tower. Saying that, Zish Jun pointed to three hazy clusters of mist in the distance and spoke, those are the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower, the Unfalling Celestial River Tower, and the Eternal Starry Sky Tower. Let's go and have a look. When Ning Cheng heard that the female cultivator who looked like Qianghua had entered the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower, he could not wait to go in and have a look. Ning Cheng followed Zish Jun to the front of the three towers. Spiritual consciousness could not sweep into these three towers at all, and only the outlines of the three hazy clusters of towers could be seen. On the periphery of the rightmost outline, there were 5 giant words suspended in the air, 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower. The words Unfalling Celestial River Tower were suspended above the middle outline, while the words Eternal Starry Sky Tower were suspended above the leftmost outline. Apart from that, there were 3 gigantic spirit formation display screens around the 3 towers. Each spirit formation display screen had countless names on it. However, the names of the first 100 people were very large, highlighted in gold, while the names behind them were very small and densely packed together. From time to time, some people would walk into the mist surrounding the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower and the Unfalling Celestial River Tower. At the same time, some people would also get thrown out of the mist and fall onto the public square. Relatively speaking, only a few people entered the Eternal Starry Sky Tower. Ning Cheng stood there for a long time but did not see a single person enter. Seeing Ning Cheng staring at the 3 towers in silence, Zish Jun explained from the side, these 3 towers are places for people to comprehend Tao laws and train their cultivations. They are the most precious things in Culmination Starry Sky City. Moreover, there are no restrictions, allowing anyone to come and go at any time. Do you see those 3 array formation display screens? Each array formation display screen represents the ranking of one of the towers. The first 100 names are highlighted in gold, indicating that they are the strongest cultivators in the same realm. Ningcheng's gaze then fell on the first array formation display screen, which was the array formation display screen of the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower. It showed a name called Xiaoyu on the 71st floor, followed by the names of the spiritual heaven sect's disciples. Zhishjun continued to whisper, "Did you see that Xiaoyu? He is the person who climbed the highest in the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower so far. Not only is he a genius among geniuses, but he is also extremely confident that no one can compare to him. I heard that he has already advanced to the Celestial Bridge realm. However, to enter the immortal Jade Star, he forcibly erased his cultivation and returned to the Celestial Gatherer realm." Chapter 573. How many floors does the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower have? Ningcheng asked. In his heart, he really admired this Xiaoyu, to think that he could forcibly erase his own cultivation. If this person was not confident to a certain extent, then he would never do such a thing. Zhishjun replied, "The 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower has a total of 81 floors, the Falling Celestial River Tower has a total of 64 floors, while the Eternal Starry Sky Tower has a total of 49 floors. No one has been able to reach the top of any of the 3 pagodas." Ningcheng looked at the location of the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower and spoke, "Brother Ziju, I asked you about the female cultivator who entered the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower a few days ago. Has she not come out yet?" "Yes, you don't want to go to the Celestial Scryer Tower, do you? In fact, you might not see her even if you went in. I think that you might as well wait here with me." Zhishjun saw through Ningcheng's thoughts. Ningcheng was just about to speak when he heard someone next to him exclaim, "A newcomer broke into the top 100. Ningcheng and Zhishjun's gazes immediately turned towards it. Ningcheng had already seen the top 100 golden names in the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower. Now that he looked again, there was indeed a newcomer who had rushed up. The name in the 100th place had been changed to Zhenfei. Behind Zhenfei's name were the words Striking Order Starry Skies Bright South Celestial River, Golden Crow Sect, followed by 51st Step, and then the time spent on the 51st step. Because he had memorized the name list of the top 100, Ningcheng knew that the original 100th place was Bianzhe, who had climbed to the 50th step, and had even stayed on the 50th step for 2 days. Now that Zhenfei had ascended to the 51st step, he naturally wanted to push Bianzhe out of the top 100. Zhenfei had just entered the top 100. If he could stay a little longer on the 51st step, his ranking would definitely continue to rise. Wow, this is the first person from our Striking Order Starry Skies to enter the top 100. Zhishjun exclaimed after seeing Zhenfei's name. Ningcheng casually asked from the side, "Who originally had the highest ranking in the Striking Order Starry Skies?" Zhishjun casually replied, "His name is Yuxiasi, and his highest ranking in the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower is 932. Now that he has advanced to the Celestial River Level 3, I don't see him on the ranking list of the unfalling Celestial River Pagoda." Zhishjun did not wait for Ningcheng to answer, and hurriedly spoke up, "Brother Wanderer, I have to hurry up and take care of something. I will also find a way to get your jade card. After I'm done with my business, I'll come here to see how many floors I can reach." Ningcheng spoke up with gratitude, "Brother Ziju, I'll be waiting here. If you have any good news, please let me know immediately." "Don't worry." After saying that, Zhishjun hastily walked out of Culmination Plaza. Zhenfei rushing into the top 100 of the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower had stimulated him. Both of them were representatives of the Striking Order Starry Skies. Since Zhenfei had rushed into the top 100, then if he rushed into the top 1,000, then it should not be a problem for him to catch up to Yuxiasi, right? Watching Zhishjun leave, Ningcheng did not delay for even a moment and immediately entered the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower shrouded in a faint mist. Stepping into the mist, an incomparably clear door appeared in front of Ningcheng. However, this door was tightly closed. In front of the gate was a tall jade stele. Ning Cheng was just thinking about how to enter the gate when another cultivator came in. He directly walked past Ning Cheng and came to the side of the jade tablet and wrote down his name and origin. Immediately after, the door opened. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, but could not sweep in. The cultivator who wrote down his name quickly entered the gate, and the gate closed silently again. Ning Cheng also walked to the side of the jade tablet, hesitated for a moment, and wrote down Wander on the jade tablet, followed by Jiangzhou. He was originally a wanderer from Earth. As such, there was nothing wrong with writing it like that. The gate in front of him opened again, causing Ning Cheng to feel overjoyed and immediately step inside. As soon as he entered the gate, a line of golden characters appeared in front of him. Those who retreat to the gate fail. Ning Cheng saw that he was only one step away from the gate and quickly took a step forward. He had just lifted his foot when a powerful force blasted over. This force came so abruptly that Ning Cheng was almost pushed to the edge of the gate again. Ning Cheng's celestial essence immediately poured out and blasted away the incoming force, allowing him to stand firm. Amazing, he had just entered the first floor. If he got pushed out on the first floor, it would have been too shameful. After standing firm, Ning Cheng carefully released his celestial river domain. He had never been to the celestial scryer tower before and did not know what dangers lurked in this place. After a few breaths, Ning Cheng found that the first floor of the 9x9 celestial scryer tower did not contain any other dangers except for the sudden force. Even if he was in the celestial novice realm, as long as he could block that sudden attack, he could easily gain a foothold on this floor. The first floor of the celestial scryer tower looked like a small isle, surrounded by empty stones, with a blue stone path in the middle, which extended into the distance. Ning Cheng quickly adapted to the force, but it did not have any effect on him. Ning Cheng quickened his pace and quickly passed through the blue stone path and arrived at the entrance of another gate. This gate had the words Celestial Scryer Tower 2nd floor written on it. Ning Cheng showed a smile. This was too easy, he could easily reach the 2nd floor of the Celestial Scryer Tower. He reached out to push open the gate leading to the 2nd floor. Just as his hand was about to touch the gate, a roar erupted, and a starry sky wolf suddenly appeared at the gate. Ning Cheng wanted to pull back his hand, but it was too late. The starry sky wolf opened its mouth and swallowed it. At this moment, Ning Cheng's hand suddenly turned into an axe shadow, and a cluster of celestial river flames shot out from his axe shadow. A sharp scream erupted, and Ning Cheng's flame directly smashed the starry sky wolf into pieces. The moment the starry sky wolf disappeared, the gate leading to the 2nd floor opened. This time, Ning Cheng was prepared and immediately stretched out his celestial river domain. The 2nd floor's force was much stronger than the 1st floor's. But because Ning Cheng was prepared, Ning Cheng's celestial river domain directly dispersed the force. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness and celestial river domain allowed him to break through all the obstacles and reach the 18th floor. However, this 9x9 celestial scryer tower did not have much of a difference. Although the force on each floor increased and the strength of the starry sky beasts on each floor increased, Ning Cheng felt that it would not be difficult for him to rush to the 70th floor with his current strength. Ning Cheng stepped into the 19th floor with this idea in mind. When he came in, his celestial river domain had already spread out. The force on each floor grew stronger, as long as his celestial river domain was prepared. What surprised Ning Cheng was that his celestial river domain did not encounter any resistance this time, which meant that the 19th floor did not have any force. What happened? Ning Cheng had just thought of this when a burst of murderous intent surged over. Endless starry sky blade lights mixed with all kinds of killing intent completely wrapped around Ning Cheng. Even if Ning Cheng brought out his celestial river domain, these starry sky blade lights still managed to break through Ning Cheng's celestial river domain at a specific angle. Ning Cheng immediately brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort. Kakadaka. Dense bombardment sounds fell on the everlasting blue thunder fort, causing Ning Cheng to break out in cold sweat. If not for the everlasting blue thunder fort, he would have definitely suffered some injuries. The first wave of attacks had not yet ended when the second wave of attacks arrived. Then, a force twice as strong as the one on the 18th floor slammed into Ning Cheng's body, forcing Ning Cheng to take a few steps back and almost hit the door. So insidious. Ning Cheng screamed in anger and quickly took a few steps forward. Fortunately, although the attacks on the 19th floor were dense, they were not very powerful. Apart from the force from the sneak attack, Ning Cheng did not find it difficult to deal with them. After passing through the 19th floor, Ning Cheng gained a clearer and more intuitive understanding of this celestial scryer tower. This celestial scryer tower seemed to have a consciousness and was always ready to attack the people inside the tower. Moreover, it only had one purpose: to blow the people inside out. After passing through the 20th floor, the attacks grew even more powerful. In addition to the blade lights, there were also some void collapse attacks, fireballs, and low-level killing array attacks. As for the attacks from the demonic beasts, they were even more numerous. However, these demonic beasts were composed of celestial essence chi and would dissipate without a trace after being killed. Ning Cheng's celestial river domain combined with his treasured thunder spear, coupled with the grade 5 blue thunder fort, made him almost invincible. As long as he remained cautious and did not get sneak attacked by the sudden thrust, he would not get blown out of the tower. Rushing all the way up, Ning Cheng took turns to use the traceless spear and the nothingness flame-patterned spear, which gave Ning Cheng a vague feeling that his spear intent was on the verge of a breakthrough. The blade lights that continuously broke through the celestial river domain made Ning Cheng realize that his domain was far from perfect. Boom! Ning Cheng killed another Starry Skies demonic beast, and by this time, he had already reached the 40th floor of the 9x9 celestial scryer tower. Ning Cheng, who had long prepared to resist and fight, found that this floor was extremely quiet. There were no sneak attacks from the blade lights, nor was there any terrifying thrust. Ning Cheng subconsciously took a step forward. His consciousness seemed to have blurred for a moment before it became clear again. He then saw the person in front of him. Nguyen. Ning Cheng had just called out those two words when he recalled what Tian Nguyen had said to him. Just call me by my name? You can also call me Little Tian. Tian Nguyen looked at Ning Cheng quietly. Although her face looked calm, her eyes were filled with sadness. Tian Nguyen? Ning Cheng added another word in a dry voice. Tian Nguyen still looked at Ning Cheng in a daze. Thank you for remembering that my surname is Tian. The two turned silent once again. After a long time, Tian Nguyen suddenly lost her calm. She rushed in front of Ning Cheng and stared at Ning Cheng while crying, "Why are you doing this to me? Have you ever liked me? Now that you're back, can't you even ask me if I'm okay or not? Why are you so arrogant? You're a big man, why do you care about a little woman like me? I was so excited when I saw you again, but you treated me like a stone on the street. Have you ever asked me about my grievances?" Ning Xiaoqing. Feral Brook Mountain, located on the edge of the southern heaven region. Since the insect tide attack a few years ago, even fewer people came to this place. In a thatched cottage at the top of the Feral Brook Mountain, a delicate and pretty woman suddenly stood up with tears streaming down her face and murmured, "Why do I see you? Why is it so clear?" Ning Xiaoqing. Chapter 574. Was this an illusion? As the mysterious yellow origin aura circulated around his sea of consciousness, Ning Cheng suddenly sobered up. But Tian Mu-wan was still in front of him. Was this not an illusion? "Why are you here?" Ning Cheng finally could not help but ask. "I've been in the Feral Brook Mountains." "Be careful," Tian Mu-wan suddenly exclaimed. Ning Cheng quickly swept out with the treasured thunder spear in his hand. With a crisp sound, two blade lights without even the slightest murderous intent shot out. With Ning Cheng's spear sweeping out, a bang sound rang out. Ning Cheng's surroundings suddenly became clear, and everything in front of him disappeared without a trace. Tian Mu-wan disappeared, and the surroundings once again returned to their original appearance. It was as if the scene had changed in an instant. Ning Cheng tightly gripped the treasured thunder spear and did not move. He knew that what he had just seen was just an illusion. However, he felt that it was not a hallucination, Tian Mu-wan's words were not an illusion in his consciousness, rather it was really what Tian Mu-wan had said. There was no reason for this feeling, but it was extremely clear. He even saw the scene behind Tian Mu-wan. It seemed to be the Feral Brook Mountains, the place where he had once gone to search for the wood's spiritual source. What was going on? Ning Qing did not continue forward. Is it really an illusion? Tian Mu-wan slowly sat down. Ning Cheng's aura was incomparably clear a moment ago. She could even feel his aura. But just as she reminded him to be careful, Ning Qing disappeared without a trace. In addition to the verdant Feral Brook Mountains, there was only the chirping of nightingales. I've already forgotten about you. Why do I still have this illusion? Tian Mu-wan cried out in a hoarse voice. When she first came to the Feral Brook Mountains, it was because of Ning Cheng. But as time passed, she got used to staying here. It was only when she obtained half a bead and a cultivation method in the Feral Brook Mountain that she came to know that there were still cultivators in this world. Is Ning Shaoqing someone you like? A sudden voice interrupted Tian Mu-wan's grief. Tian Mu-wan suddenly turned around and saw a young girl wearing a yellow robe, who looked even younger than her. What shocked her was that the young girl didn't seem to be standing on the ground. Instead, she was floating in the air behind her. Who are you? Tian Mu-wan was panic-stricken in her heart. Since she could live in the Feral Brook Mountains, she naturally was not an ordinary woman. However, someone had already appeared behind her, and she was not even aware of it. Striking Order Starry Skies newcomer Zhen Fei has reached the 97th rank. In front of the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Tower's ranking display on the Culmination Public Square, a large number of cultivators had already gathered. Everyone stared at Striking Order Starry Skies Zhen Fei. 3 days ago, Zhen Fei had just rushed into the top 100, but in just 3 days he had already reached the 97th rank. One had to know that it was extremely difficult to rush into any of the top 100 positions, but this Zhen Fei had rushed from 100th to 97th in just 3 days. This was definitely strength. I didn't expect that the unremarkable Striking Order Starry Skies would have such a character. That's right. If it weren't for the Time Wilderness, I wouldn't have known that Grand Culmination Starry Skies had a small place called Striking Order. In the Zhongtian Square, all sorts of discussions arose, everyone staring at this Zhen Fei who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They were also discussing how high Zhen Fei could climb. The vast and boundless Striking Order Starry Sky had turned into a small place in this place. Little miss, I don't know where this Zhen Fei came from, but he managed to climb to the 52nd floor of the Celestial Scryer Tower. This fellow really wants to be in the limelight. I'm afraid that no one has ever been in the limelight like him recently. A young girl in a green robe spoke up. She, like the rest of the cultivators, was also staring at the 9x9 Celestial Scryer Realms ranking display. Standing next to her was a female cultivator in a light blue robe. When this female cultivator heard the green-robed girl's words, she spoke up in disapproval. This Zhen Fei is indeed powerful. However, I think there is another fellow here who is even more powerful than him. It's just that you haven't noticed it yet. The green-robed girl quickly asked. It's the fellow ranked 437th. This fellow is on the 49th floor. The female cultivator in the light blue robe replied. Wanderer from the Jiangzhou? Where is the Jiangzhou? Why haven't I heard of it before? The green-robed girl spoke up in surprise. The blue-robed female cultivator replied, I'm afraid it's a planet. This fellow did not write down which celestial river he came from, but it is definitely from the Grand Culmination Starry Skies. I came here a few days ago, and I remember the ranking list very clearly. Among the top tens of thousands of people, there is no one named Wanderer. I didn't expect that in just a few days, this fellow would suddenly appear on the 49th floor. Little miss, it seems that you found this Wanderer. The green-robed girl spoke as she glanced at the cultivators around her and spoke with some disdain. These people really are idiots. Not a single one of them found a powerhouse like Wanderer. In a few days, when this Wanderer rushes to the top 50 floors, let's see how surprised these people would be. The blue-robed female cultivator shook her head. No, there are definitely a lot of cultivators who know that Wanderer entered the 49th floor. Many of them did not say it out loud. Since these people are waiting here, maybe they are waiting for Wanderer to come out and win him over. Little miss, if Guild Master knows about this Wanderer, do you think he would call him to our Chamber of Commerce? Right, there is also that Sin Fei. This time, before the green-robed girl could finish her words, the blue-robed female cultivator snorted, "Call him to our Chamber of Commerce, and then see if this genius is worthy of becoming my Dao companion, right? No matter what kind of genius he is, I will find my own Dao companion. My father can't make that decision." But little miss, you have been looking for him for so long, yet there is no news at all. Moreover, the guild master is also very anxious about this matter, in case. The green-robed female cultivator spoke with concern. The blue-robed girl spoke up with hatred. "I can only say that although so many geniuses have come this time, I haven't seen many hard bones. The last time I saw a fellow who dared to crash into my Starry Sky battleship, I thought that he would be a hard bone. I didn't expect that fellow to rather pay 100 million green coins than speak even half a word of nonsense. Little miss, I'm afraid it would be a bit difficult for you to find a Dao companion like this." "Then how can I find one? Master said that if a cultivator's bones are not hard enough, their achievements will eventually be limited. Besides, a cultivator with soft bones, just looking at them makes me feel uncomfortable." Ning Cheng was indeed on the 49th floor. The reason why he stayed on the 49th floor for 3 days and did not go up was because Ning Cheng did not want to go up. If it were just the endless tangible blade lights and the waves of pushing force, Ning Cheng would have already entered the 50th floor. However, for Ning Cheng, he chose to stay on this floor because he felt a vague spiritual consciousness attack on this floor. This was the first time he had encountered a spiritual consciousness attack. Moreover, these attacks were invisible and invisible. Sometimes, they would suddenly stab into his body, which made him understand that these were not blade lights or other attacks, but spiritual consciousness attacks. Spiritual consciousness attacks were faintly discernible, while his domain could not resist even half a point of spiritual consciousness attacks. In the face of this invisible spiritual consciousness attack, he had no other choice but to condense his spiritual consciousness to block it. If it were an ordinary cultivator facing this kind of spiritual consciousness attack, the first thing they would think of was to rush out of the 49th floor and enter the 50th floor. After all, the longer one stayed on the 49th floor, the greater the pushing force and attack power. However, Ning Cheng did not enter the 50th floor. Firstly, he had a strong resistance, which allowed him to stay on the 49th floor. Secondly, he wanted to find some signs of this spiritual consciousness attack. Ning Cheng's Sea of Consciousness was quite powerful. As such, he had long since thought about using his spiritual consciousness to attack his opponents. Unfortunately, although his spiritual consciousness could work with his domain, coupled with his killing intent and killing power, he still could not form a real attack. Now that he finally felt a real spiritual consciousness attack, how could he let it go? Within the Celestial Scryer Tower, a spiritual consciousness attack could not take his life. At most, it could only push him out of the Celestial Scryer Tower. In case he met a real spiritual consciousness attack expert in the future, he would not have any defensive ability. It would truly be terrifying. 2 days ago, the spiritual consciousness attacks on the 49th floor were still sparse. However, the further he went, the stronger the spiritual consciousness attacks became. These spiritual consciousness attacks were invisible and invisible. Even if Ning Cheng's Celestial River domain fully stretched out, he could not block these invisible spiritual consciousness attacks. In the beginning, the spiritual consciousness attacks were not dense, and Ning Cheng could barely block 1 or 2 of them. But as he stayed on this floor longer and longer, the spiritual consciousness attacks also grew stronger and more intense. Invisible spiritual consciousness thorns and spiritual consciousness blades bombarded Ning Cheng's body, tearing apart Ning Cheng's robes. Sounds of flesh and bones breaking rang out, forcing Ning Cheng to operate the mysterious yellow body forging cultivation method while continuing to condense his spiritual consciousness to resist. Ka. As more and more of Ning Cheng's bones broke, he found it difficult to even stand up. Ning Cheng did not even think about standing up. This was the first time he felt the benefits of using spiritual consciousness attacks to temper his corporeal body. His body had sustained injuries from the endless spiritual consciousness attacks, which then healed under the powerful body-forging cultivation method. Not knowing for how long, Ning Cheng suddenly stood up. He did not know when the injuries on his body had completely disappeared, but his corporeal body had unknowingly reached the peak state of a rank 9 god body. The blade lights and spiritual consciousness attacks still remained around him. However, these spiritual consciousness attacks could no longer cause any harm to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng felt very satisfied. The 9x9 celestial scryer tower truly was a good place for cultivation. Not to mention that his spiritual consciousness had improved by leaps and bounds. Even his body-forging cultivation method had reached the peak of a rank 9 god body. Unfortunately, he did not have a higher-level body-forging cultivation method. As such, his body-forging cultivation method could only stop here. It did not matter if he could not comprehend the spiritual consciousness attacks. The 9x9 celestial scryer tower still had many floors. He did not believe that the spiritual consciousness attacks only existed on the 49th floor. After the 49th floor, the path ahead was no longer a flat bluestone path, but a series of bluestone stairs. Ning Cheng's celestial river domain stretched out and blasted away the surrounding force. In just a few steps, he reached the top of the 49th floor and pushed open the door to the 50th floor of the celestial scryer tower. Chapter 575. Hey, someone else entered the 50th floor. What's going on these days? As soon as Ning Cheng entered the 9x9 celestial scryer tower's 50th floor, someone on the culmination public square immediately exclaimed. As this voice rang out, almost everyone immediately noticed the name Jiangzhou's Wanderer. What kind of place was Jiangzhou? After Ning Cheng entered the 50th floor, this place immediately aroused discussions among the surrounding cultivators. Unfortunately, even after discussing for a long time, no one knew where Jiangzhou was. No, he entered the 51st floor and rushed into the top 100. The voices of discussion quickly turned into shock as Ning Cheng rushed to the 51st floor. He's still going up without any hindrance. He's already reached the 52nd floor. At this time, the people on the public square no longer felt shocked, but horrified. Even when Xiao Yu entered the celestial scryer tower, he was not this strong. Many cultivators kept sending out messages, telling their friends that a heaven-defying cultivator had rushed to the 52nd floor of the celestial scryer tower. Moreover, it did not take long for him to enter. When Ning Cheng rushed to the 53rd floor, almost the entire Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City was shocked. Countless cultivators poured into the culmination grand public square. Even some Starry Sky level sex powerhouses came to this place. Fortunately, the culmination public square was quite spacious. Therefore, after these cultivators poured in, it did not feel crowded. Who is Wanderer? Which starry sky does he represent? Which celestial river is Jiangzhou Star? Which starry sky is he from? At this time, the entire culmination public square was talking about one person, Wanderer. All of them were talking about one place, Jiangzhou. The previously dazzling Xin Fei had long since been forgotten by the people. In front of this powerful wanderer, what was Xin Fei? He reached the 64th floor, and his ranking has already entered the top 10. Heavens, in just one day, he jumped from the 49th floor to the 64th floor. It's just too terrifying. Even snapping Ascension Starry Sky's Duanmu Chang, who was ranked in the top 10, has been pushed out of the top 10. Duanmu Chang is already here. I wonder if he will enter the celestial scryer tower again and continue to attack the top 10. Duanmu Chang had indeed arrived. He calmly looked at Wanderer's name, which had pushed him out of the top 10. No one could tell what he was thinking. Some of the cultivators who knew Duanmu Chang did not dare to talk to Rui Mu Chang at this time. He seems to have stopped at the 64th floor. The cultivators on the plaza soon discovered that Wanderer's name had stopped rising. At this moment, several cultivators who entered the celestial scryer's celestial tower were teleported out. The moment the cultivators landed on the ground, the surrounding cultivators swarmed forward to ask if the cultivators who were teleported out were wanderers. Wanderer's name was no longer rising, which meant that he would be teleported out at any moment. Don't ask anymore. It's obvious that Wanderer hasn't come out yet. Look, the time behind him keeps increasing. If he comes out, then time will stop, someone in the plaza said. Ning Cheng had indeed stayed on the 64th floor, but from the 49th floor onwards, the spiritual consciousness attacks he received were getting more and more powerful. In addition to the spiritual sense attacks, there were also the attacks of different space demonic beasts and killing arrays. This made Ning Cheng dispel the idea of staying on a certain level to temper his spiritual consciousness as he continued to block these attacks, while at the same time constantly rushing upwards. Tian, taking that out, and the stage Cheng Ling Ping happening, he of the street in. Ning Cheng did not feel disappointed. As he rushed up one floor after another, the traces of his traceless spear grew fainter. After blasting out with his nothingness flame-patterned spear, even the flame patterns started to hide within his celestial river domain. The attacks in the celestial scryer tower seemed to be making up for his lack of spirit techniques and constantly helping him perfect his attacks. Facing all kinds of spiritual consciousness attacks, Ning Cheng's celestial river domain also gradually became more complete. Although he had not yet deduced his own spiritual consciousness attacks, his celestial river domain could already detect them. As such, he no longer had to take a beating. When he reached the 64th floor, Ning Cheng felt that whether it was his spear techniques or his celestial river domain, both had reached a new level. For Ning Cheng, the trial in the celestial scryer tower was much more beneficial than the arena. No wonder these three towers had such a resounding reputation. When he advanced to the celestial river realm in the future, he would definitely go in and take a look at the celestial river tower. The reason why Ning Cheng chose to stay on the 64th floor was that he felt an attack on his sea of consciousness as soon as he came to this floor. Although it was also a spiritual consciousness attack, it was completely different from the spiritual consciousness attacks on the previous floors. This was a deeper level of spiritual consciousness attack that could directly attack his sea of consciousness. The moment his sea of consciousness felt the attack, Ning Cheng decided to stay on this floor and continue deducing the spirit techniques for spiritual consciousness attacks. Rushing into the celestial scryer tower was not his goal. What he wanted to gain from the celestial scryer tower was what he wanted. Although the spiritual consciousness attacks hit his body, they did not cause much damage. What's more, Ning Cheng's celestial river domain could now sense spiritual consciousness attacks. Therefore, after bringing out the everlasting Blue Thunder City, he could now block many spiritual consciousness attacks. However, the most frightening thing was the spiritual consciousness attacks that bombarded his sea of consciousness. This kind of attack caused Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness to roar and tumble about. The pain caused by the bombardment of his sea of consciousness turned even more torturous, something that ordinary people would not be able to endure. If not for his starry sky sea of consciousness's tenacity, his sea of consciousness would have collapsed sooner or later. In the face of such terrifying sea of consciousness attacks, Ning Cheng only had one choice in this place, that is to speed up and rush to the 65th floor. Ning Cheng did not come here to rush to a higher floor, but to gain insights into his spirit techniques and Tao laws. The spiritual consciousness attacks on the 64th floor could already bombard his sea of consciousness. Therefore, after reaching the 65th floor, the attacks on his sea of consciousness would definitely be much more powerful. Ning Cheng put away the everlasting Blue Thunder City. He did not put away the everlasting Blue Thunder City to resist the attacks on his body, but to block the spiritual consciousness attacks in his sea of consciousness. Even if his body suffered heavy injuries, he could slowly recover. Once his sea of consciousness suffered serious injuries, it would be extremely difficult to recover. What's more, his treasured thunder spear had transformed into a spear net, which combined with the celestial river domain. As such, those blade lights could at most cause minor injuries to his body. At this time, Ning Cheng started to admire Xiaoyu even more. Since Xiaoyu managed to rush to the 71st floor, it showed just how powerful this fellow's sea of consciousness was. His sea of consciousness, which was originally roaring and tumbling, finally turned a lot better with the addition of the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Although the everlasting Blue Thunder City could not block all the Sea of Consciousness attacks, it could block most of them. The remaining attacks did not have much impact on Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Sea of Consciousness. With Ning Cheng blocking the attacks on his Sea of Consciousness and body, the various attacks on the 64th floor of the Celestial Scryer Tower and Ning Cheng's defenses formed a balance. Occasionally, 1 or 2 spiritual consciousness attacks would fall on Ning Cheng's body, but Ning Cheng did not bother to care about it. With his powerful corporeal body with a grade 9 god body, these occasional injuries did not affect him in the slightest. At this time, Ning Cheng only cared about his Starry Sky Sea of Consciousness. His spiritual consciousness and concentration were completely focused on his Starry Sky Sea of Consciousness. Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City managed to block some of the spiritual consciousness thorns and invisible spiritual consciousness blades shot out by the Celestial Scryer Tower, while some of them failed to block. These unblocked attacks left marks on Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Sea of Consciousness from time to time. Every time his Sea of Consciousness suffered an attack, Ning Cheng's body would twitch subconsciously. This kind of Sea of Consciousness attack was comparable to a soul attack. If not for Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Sea of Consciousness being too powerful, any other cultivator would not have been able to persist until now. Time passed by bit as Ning Cheng continued to endure the pain. It was already the 7th day since Ning Cheng entered the 64th floor. At this moment, some cultivators in the Culmination Public Square started to wonder if Ning Cheng could reach the 65th floor. It looks like he can only reach the 64th floor. What a pity! Even if he stayed on the 64th floor for a year, he would not be able to compare to the 65th floor. Staying on the 64th floor for 7 days is already amazing. I'm sure that once this person comes out, he would definitely be a powerhouse. All sorts of discussions could be heard. A bearded man became impatient when he heard the discussions around him. He coldly snorted, "What do you guys know? Staying on the 64th level for 7 days is much harder than entering the 65th level. What a bunch of ignorant fools." Hearing someone call them ignorant, the cultivators immediately felt dissatisfied. The cultivator who said that Ning Cheng could only reach the 64th floor wanted to scold back. However, when he saw the bearded man, he immediately swallowed his words. He knew this bearded fellow, Grand Culmination Starry Skies Celestial Scryer Powerhouse, Ling Huqi. This person was not only a powerhouse ranked in the top 100 of the Celestial Scryer Tower, but also in the top 10, ranking 6th. Ling Huqi was someone who managed to reach the 66th floor of the Celestial Scryer Tower. As such, he was clearly qualified to speak such words. "Many thanks for the advice, Senior Apprentice Brother Linghu. I thought it would be easy to stay on the 64th floor and not move." After recognizing Ling Huqi, the male cultivator quickly cupped his fists and greeted him. Ling Huqi gave a cold snort and stared at the ranking display screen. He did not intend to answer at all. "Senior Apprentice Sister Yi, this wanderer looks very powerful. He actually managed to reach the 64th floor and even stayed on the 64th floor for 7 days. Master said that after reaching the 64th floor of the Celestial Scryer Tower in the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City, one would encounter a Sea of Consciousness attack. How did he manage to withstand it?" A young girl with a veil over her face, like the surrounding cultivators, stared at the display screen and spoke up in shock. The female cultivator beside her, called Senior Apprentice Sister Yi, also wore a veil over her face. She also spoke up in admiration. Once this person comes out, countless sects and starry skies would definitely rush to curry favor with him. This kind of person can enter any starry sky and come out as a starry sky powerhouse. However, this might not necessarily be a good thing for him. But the young girl asked in doubt. Senior Apprentice Sister Yi whispered in the young girl's ear, "Junior Apprentice Sister Cheong, think about it. Once this kind of genius is discovered, without a strong backer, do you think others would want to possess him or cultivate him?" Junior Apprentice Sister Cheong shuddered and suddenly felt some sympathy for this wanderer from Jiangzhou. Although he was currently in the limelight, If he did not have a strong backer, it would be hard to predict his fate. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.